Hey, Auntie, how are you? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Hey, Steph, how are you? Hello. Appreciate everybody coming in. Appreciate you engaging with the live. So, for those who host lives, the word out on the street is you can no longer tell the people interacting with the live to tap the screen and share the live, or you'll get flagged for it. So the new buzzword is to engage with the lives. So thank you for everybody that's engaging with the live. That mean. So just FYI for the people who go live. I'm thankful that I was privy to that. Hey Amina, how are you? What's going on, Ray? Yeah, but just FYI to everybody who goes live. Word out on the street is you can't tell people to tap the screen and share the live. Apparently, you'll get flagged for that. It's demanding to tell people to engage. So the word is thank you for engaging with the live. When we say engage, you know what that means. So I appreciate everybody that's engaging into the conversation, engaging with the live. But yeah, I wanted to go over a few things today. Because I really want us to understand particularly what this movement is, what it's about, so that people don't get the wrong idea. I've had a lot of people be like, "Oh, you're a black pillar." No, I'm not. Not a black pillar. I hijacked it and recreating it to, for it to be something more meaningful than what it is. So we're gonna go over my principles, what the mission, goals, and objective is for the UNISPHERE. If y'all, yeah. So I appreciate y'all engaging. You know, sharing this with your people. So we can get more engagement. On the FYP. Appreciate y'all. Okay. Thank you, Steph. That's what's up. Get the auto tapping. But how's everybody doing today? How's your weekend? Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. Today we'll be just going over the principles of what the UNISPHERE is and what it actually means, rather than what people speculate. I want to clarify that I am not a black pillar. I hijacked the movement for a particular cause, and we'll go over its principles, mission, goals, and objectives today. But how's everybody doing today? How's everybody feeling? You got water? Should get into a pretty deep conversation today. Okay, that's what's up. Cool. How many people are tired of red pill ideology? How many people are tired of harmful rhetoric that is hurting us as a society? How many people are tired of hearing about the bashing of black women and how women are the reason for all the bad things in society? How many people are tired of misogynistic talking points? How many people are tired of the patriarchy? Hey, Cabria. I'm exceptionally well, Amina. Thank you. I'm great. Doing great. How many people are tired of just seeing the punching down and the cognitive dissonance of people that don't understand basic definitions in their position in society and how it affects other people? How many people are tired of seeing other people support ideologies that are harmful to other people? And so my goal is to get to the root of it and really break down the understanding of it, right? Because we live in a very subjective and objective society when life operates off of balance and duality, point blank period, right? So what I always say, for those who know me know that one of my philosophies is that there's always 6 sides to the cube, not 4 angles to the square. Everything is not just so, and the reason why the pills, as you can see, are black and white is because, we live in a society where it's black or white, but there's so many gray areas. You know what I'm saying? Also, I want y'all to dive into the philosophy for me a little bit. We understand that living by principle, life is about principle and what you value. And we see where a lot of people's values are when it comes to talks that are pretty much based on our lives. We see too many opinions flying around when we understand that the definition of opinion is based on not having facts or knowledge, when real lives are being affected every day, right? This key and point, just like Amina said, I'm tired of being told we're not accountable yet. Red pillars don't want to be held accountable. Don't want to be held accountable for a goddamn thing. And I find it weird that all you do is perpetuate lateral violence. And if you look at a lot of the red pillars, broke bitter baby daddies, not all of them, but men that's been hurt by women, either not good, always talking about 50-50, you know what I'm saying? Like upholding patriarchy and misogynistic talking points, and don't even understand how their position in society is creating lateral violence for you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sorry, point blank period. If you will uphold, I need black men to stop being agents of white supremacy. You're creating chaos, and it's you know what I'm saying? Like, you're fighting for that little bit of control that you need to get within yourself. Hey Kai, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So I want to go over some foundational principles of what the Black Pill Unisphere is, right? We in the season of accountability, right? As you can see at the top, it says redefining humanity 101. Okay? So the goal is to elevate the consciousness. not a, not I ate some burgers, you're funny, Gene. Is to elevate the consciousness, inspire the soul, and uplift the spirit, right? Because these are things that we need in society. You know what I'm saying? As we're healing, as we are, you know what I'm saying? Like so as we know, right? For those who has been in my lives last year when I had my first page, I talked about this a lot. But now that I'm able to really break it down and and get some type of movement behind it, I really think it's really critical that we understand the basic principles because like I said, life is about principle and what you value. Okay. Again, Black Pill Unisphere, we're here to redefine humanity. This is redefining humanity 101. And I'm talking about internally, interpersonally, and introspectively, right? Because accountability starts with self. You cannot hold. One of the things that I can't stand about the red pill is that you're always trying to force, oh, well, hold the black woman. No, hold yourself accountable first. But you're too scared to look in the mirror, to look at yourself and look at all your issues and your hurt feelings. You know what I'm saying? But it's easier to punch down and project your insecurities and your hurt and your disdain. You know what I'm saying? All that pent up aggression that you couldn't say to your mama because she would have knocked your head off. So you had to go run and close your door swinging at the air with the tears in your eyes. You grew up and now you're spewing all that anger on women, particularly on black women. So I'm speaking for men and women in general simultaneously, particularly to black men and black women. So understand I'm speaking interchangeably because again, life is about balance and duality, not just subjectivity and objectivity. Again, redefining humanity 101. Understand what the Black Pill Unisphere is about. Redefining humanity 101. Because I've had several people hit me up and be like, you a black pill? I'm like, no, not an incel. Like I researched it before I hijacked it, okay, y'all? And we will debunk and do some damage control over those points. But this is to bring a little bit of hope back to us. It's to bring some hope back to us. I hijacked it and to do some damage control because there's too much BS going on. And as a black man who is taking a healing black man, who is taking accountability, you know what I'm saying? I think it's time that we really just address some things because it's our responsibility to point blank period. So, Black Pill Unisphere, redefining humanity 101, elevating the conscious, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit. Because this is what we need. Okay. There are three things that has humanity in a chokehold, right? Relationships, race, and religion. Okay. We're in the season, as we're in the season of accountability, we're in the season of rest. When it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're in the season of recovery to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperating. We're recuperating from religion to receive recompense. Okay? Now, there's three things that we have to do in order to receive these things. Because while we're in this is the season of accountability. Accountability starts with self. Our goal should be nothing but liberation. And you can't have unity until unity first until there's liberation. And this is an individual thing that each person must do. So in order to receive self-validation and all these things, when it comes to relationships, you have to decensor. Okay? When it comes to race, we're in this process now where we are decolonizing, understanding the aspects of the disease of white inferiority, because there's nothing supreme about it. right? And deconstruct from religion. And I'm talking, when I say religion, I'm not talking about the spirituality, the principle of it. I'm speaking to the institutionalization and the traditionalism of it. Because I think people get the two confused. You know what I'm saying? And looking at it from a subjective and objective standpoint rather than the perspective of energy and consciousness. And a lot of the meat gets lost due to the ideology of how it was presented, right? Again, relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're in the season of recovery to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperating to receive recompense. So we have to decenter, decolonize, and deconstruct. These are the things that will help us elevate the consciousness, inspire the soul, and uplift the spirit. This is how we redefine humanity. Because as we know, society as a whole has taught us backwards. Okay, I want us to understand that the reason why the dating pool is full of piss right now is because we lack intention and we lack purpose. We lack initial purpose. And because of the fact that we were taught all wrong, let me tell you something. It was never love in the first place. It was infatuation. Okay, it was infatuation. It was not love. We don't essentially, as a whole, know what love particularly is. I need us to understand that love is deeper than the idea of a thing. You know what I'm saying? It is, number one, love is a culture. But love is an identity first. Love is a culture. Love is a culture. It's an identity. It's who you are. It's not what I love you out of who I am, not what I want from you. You know what I'm saying? And we have to understand that there's two systems when it comes to relationships. There's there's chase culture and then there's attract culture, because I want us to have the understanding of how it works so that we can rewire and redefine these things. Right? We was taught chase culture. Chase culture is based on external validation. There's a lot of things that goes into chase culture. Chase culture, which entail is the result of why men seem like they get violent when they seem that they can't have their way. Why women are rejecting your advances because you lack foundation, and women can sense that, right? Because it lacks intention. Because see how balance and duality works, the understanding of these things when it comes to self, you haven't healed, you haven't balanced yourself, you're not grounded enough, right? We're elevating as a people, and you got to catch up, right? Chase culture back in the day, back when I was 18 and 19, it was cool to approach women, and who could be the slickest, you know what I'm saying? Like, but now it's different now, because that's not how it's not how it works. Hey, Wireless, how are you? Good to see you. Y'all look too much, man. Y'all like too much man business and woman business. Janie writes us as a people, right? So just sit back and listen. Attract culture, a chase culture, is based off of has a lack of foundation because it's based on external validation, right? Exactly, Kai. It's based off external validation. It's based off codependency. It's based off expectations, and it deals with attachment, right? When it comes to external validation, there is no logic reason. There's no logic, reasoning, or foundation in emotions, right? I need us to understand that love is spiritual. Love is spirit, and love is based off of balance and duality. Okay? So when we're talking about the true aspects and principles of how love works, love operates off of balance and duality. Love is spiritual. Nah, cause they tripping in the comments. But yeah, like sit back and listen. Love is based off of balance and duality, right? Love itself is the foundation. So when it comes to what operating in true love looks like, love is what I call attract culture. Attract culture says that I'm is self-alignment. I'm doing the work. I'm aligning with myself. I'm not basing my love off of somebody else to give it to me or what I want anybody else to do for me because I'm doing it for myself. I'm validated within myself. So therefore I attract and not chase. Women like to be attracted because if you're attracting, I need us to understand that women no longer respond to subjective attention. Women don't like women have here's the thing. Women have three emotional needs: attention, affection, and appreciation, but not subjective attention. Women don't like that. We're not doing that anymore, right? However, your emotional and your lack of self-awareness is what turns women off because I need women to understand that women only respond to love, right? And I just told you that love is the foundation. So if you are grounded within yourself and you are self-aligned with yourself, women can pick that up and they can sense that. Women are intuitive. You know what I'm saying? But if you are just out here, so let me out here like a hyena, and let's get it. Let's you know what I'm saying? Just like seeking whom you can devour. No grounding, no emotional intelligence. You're just out here lost, just trying to feed off of good energy. Chase culture is no good. It doesn't suit us anymore. It has no foundation. Attract culture, self alignment, internal validation, right? Connection. There's a difference between connection and attachment. I'm going to go ahead and say that there's no such thing as a healthy attachment because I believe attachment in itself is toxic. I don't care about the healthy attachment test. This is just my personal belief, right? There's a difference between attachment and attraction. Or attachment and connection, excuse me. And you'll know the difference. You'll know the difference. And what that looks like, hey Gray, and what that looks like is the you when it comes to love, you allow things to flow versus trying to force energy. The difference between trying to force something due to an idea versus allowing things just to be, right? And this is where we get caught. This is why I really believe the universe is giving us a timeout. Men, go in your respective corner, heal yourself. Women, go in your respective corner, figure it out. Figure yourself out first, right? We need rest. We need rest from trying to force energy and force. That's why the dating pool is full of piss. And that's okay. I'll help you. It's cool. There we go. There. So we're in the season of rest so that we can receive restoration, right? When it comes to race, like I said, three things that have humanity, chokehold in humanity: relationships, race, and religion. And we can see how this all plays out in the system, right? How they push in the entertainment systems, all the movies on love. You know what I'm saying? Because it all comes down to, and the Matrix if you've seen the movie The Matrix, it describes this beautifully. They need bodies, they need you to keep the system going, to produce more children. I do, if those who were in my unpopular opinion live yesterday and Monday, I was talking about how, we should raise the age of consent, right? You wouldn't believe how many states the age of consent is 16 and 17, but yet the legal drinking age is 21. It's crazy, right? But yet you just overturned Roe v. Wade, right? You know how crazy that is? So you're just gonna throw our kids to the wolves, leaving that open like that? Exactly, Greg. It should be at least 21, right? We should raise. I think we should raise the adult age to that as well. Voting, military, all that, all should be one age across the board. System is vile. So we're now decolonizing. As you can see, there's so many lives talking about, you know, but yeah, I know it's a little heavy and maybe a little bit uncomfortable, but black people standing, we standing on business, talking about what we no longer accept when it comes to our culture, and I'm 100% behind it. Cultural appropriation, respectability, politics, everything that doesn't work for us. You know what I'm saying? Understanding how okay, Jane, it also asides police surveillance when things like reproductive health care and options for the most. Exactly, Greg. There's so many things, the domino effect behind that, and we can get into the variances of that conversation. But back to decolonizing, we are understanding, we are in the season of diagnosing the root and the disease of as we are simultaneously, thank you, Kai, you know, addressing the symptoms that are within one another. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to aurism, we're in the season of recovery to receive restitution. You know, when we talk about accountability, the goal is liberation. We're talking, which goes back to these relationships, talking about self-alignment, right? You'll see how all these things play into each other and how they're all aligned due to how the system is set up, and also due to self, right? And how we view life. Because I told you, from a perspective of balance and duality, right? Life isn't just subjective and objective. There are some objective things and subjective things, but if that's the case, why are there so many gray areas? Hence, the reason why I use the black and the white pill, balance and duality, right? And also debunk red pill talking points because they make no sense. They uphold patriarchy, and it's not good for any of us. It is our responsibility to tear down this and rebuild. But and also so when it comes to religion, right? And when I say religion, I am talking to the institutionalization, right? The destruction that religion has done, the traditionalism. I'm not talking about from a cultural aspect or from a spiritual aspect, right? Because had the church taught us energy and consciousness, I think that we would be in a better position. Taught, you know what I'm saying? Help us understood scripture from a consciousness perspective rather than a religious perspective, things would be a lot different. And that goes for every religion. Hence the fact that a lot of things were taken as religious, but they were just essentially ways of life. So, but because I find, me personally, I find beauty in the principle from a conceptual standpoint in all religions. So that was never their thing to do because I feel like, oh, no, no, they didn't understand at all, and that's what this, because I'm gonna be tackling all of it. I'm gonna be going over all of it, because I came from the church, so I understand, and I was shown, you know, the how we got it wrong, how the church got it wrong. We're gonna be going all over that. I'm just prefacing. This is called the R9 series, by the way. So whenever you see me talking about race relationships and religion, it's called the R9 series. Yeah. So Black Pill UNISPHERE, redefining humanity one and one, elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit. Because we all need healing. We all need we all need inner healing, inner work. Like I said, a lot of us are releasing, because the construct of religion, right? Understanding that it took more than the four walls. You know what I'm saying? That to have your soul redeemed, it's a personal choice rather than a forced ideology. You hear what I'm saying? On one aspect, and understanding that it's merely just the foundation and the introduction as a way to spirituality, but not the end all be all. What is tasawwuf? And I feel you on the dogma part, but what is tasawwuf? Maybe we can give a do a live on that, because I'm all about principle and concepts. I personally love philosophy myself, hence why I took the black pill. But but yeah, and I want us to look at this from an individual, from an interpersonal standpoint, right? Because again, accountability is liberation. Accountability starts with self. As we are decent when it comes to relationships, race, and religion, the three things that has humanity in a chokehold. We are decentering, decolonizing. We're in the season of decentering, decolonizing, and deconstructing. Everything starts with self. We release these things, you will find the true essence of your purpose. Hence why my brand is called Dominion over Nonsense, right? My brand is called Dominion over Nonsense because what society taught us is not to look at things from a subjective. It's taught us to look at things only from a subjective and objective standpoint, right? You took self away, and religion fortifies all the systems. Because when it comes to relationships, what does the church tell you to do? What do they push? Marriage. You hear what I'm saying? When it comes to decolonizing, you hear what I'm saying? The system. What is the system trying to do? Get us to, push families. What is the church made up of? Families in the community. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these things connect. And it's funny because I always say, and we're gonna get into this. Particularly if the black man loved the black woman like he was taught to love white Jesus, things would be different. If the black man loved the black woman like he was taught to love white Jesus, things would be different. I'm going to say it again. If the black man was taught to love the black woman like he was taught to love white Jesus, we would see a significant change in society right now. Point blank period. Hey Shar, how are you? But I find it interesting that we was taught to love a white Jesus over the black woman, when clearly Christ said, "At least that you've done unto these, you've done unto me." Right? And from a balance and duality perspective, hey, what's going on, Imperfect? How are you? From a balance and duality perspective, Christ is a reflection of your higher consciousness of self. So if you say that you you follow these principles, because all the word is a book of principles. You know what I'm saying? From a spiritual perspective, it's about principle. If you say that you follow these principles, hence why are you not following them and then forcing and demanding your counterpart to follow the principles that you aren't initially applying yourself, but then want to blame your counterpart, blaming black women, the saying that they aren't being submissive when you have not yet submitted to yourself first. I call cap. There's just so many flaws in the ideology. But again, because it's based off of external validation. What does religion teach? What does religion teach you? That God is outside of you, not within yourself. You know what I'm saying? So how can I expect somebody to really fully receive me who hasn't fully, love somebody who hasn't fully accepted and received and loved themselves? But it's funny because had they followed the principles that was given and understood the foundation, you know what I'm saying? Because religion in itself, due to the institutionalization, fortifies societal standards, i.e. the nuclear family, right? And backs patriarchy. Because what did they do? They took feminine energy out of the word, right? When God is non-binary, that's a whole, and that's a whole nother different whole nother different topic live. We're gonna get into that. You hear what I'm saying? In essence, in essence, the Holy Spirit is feminine energy. Point blank, period. But not to get into a whole spiritual tangent, I'm just trying to show like how all of these particular things connect. Again, so we're decentering because you should be focused on yourself, right? Decolonizing and deconstructing when it comes to race, relationships, race, and religion, so that we can receive rest and restoration, recovery and restitution, and recompense and recuperating as we can receive recompense. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Just balance again, understanding and acknowledging the understanding of masculine and feminine energy. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know the patriarchy is work, when you remove the feminine energy out, because it's a sense of dominance. When you look at ancient Afro-Comedics, balance and duality, worships. Hey Queen, how are you? Thank you for stopping in. When Afro-Comedics specifically talk about the uplifting of the feminine energy. Hence, when you look at the Ankh, the womb is at the top, right? Relationships, race, and religion. Again, Black Pill UNISPHERE. UNISPHERE. Because one thing the society did, I'm exceptionally well. Just doing a little bit of damage control for all the red pill ideology and talking points. Hey, Jasmine. We just doing some damage control up. Auntie Belladonna, how are you? Thank you for stopping in. I'm just giving a little bit of foundation on the movement, because I got some messages saying that, oh, you're a black pillar, you're a black pillar. No, I'm not. I hijacked the movement, but it goes in perfectly with what I'm doing. Hence, you can see the black and white pill, because we need to understand balance and duality and not subjectivity. Society taught us subjectivity and objectivity, right? We are, thank you so much for the love. Thank you for the roses, Queen. I'm exceptionally well because as a black man, as a healing black man, I feel like this is my way of being accountable. You know what I'm saying? And releasing this movement to be able to bring some hope and balance to all the vitriol and you know, all the lateral violence due to ignorance and cognitive dissonance, because people are they're not finding themselves. And one of my principles and one of my quotes is that when you know who you are, you know what's meant for you, you know your place and where you belong. In that particular order. When you know who you are, you know what's meant for you, you know your place and where you belong. Hence why the dating pool is trash. Because in essence, the dating is essentially people mostly, especially and particularly the ones that are just doing it for the fun, that lack intention, right? Because everything is energy and intent and perspective. Everything is energy, intent, and perspective. What up, public? You know what I'm saying? So, thank you, Auntie Belladonna. I appreciate you. Much love to you. You know you always exactly. Hey, public man, shout out to you, bro. They trying to bring a black man down. I support you. These red pillars got to go. Welcome to the new movement. I'm not a black pillar. I hijacked it, but this is a movement that is bringing some balance to all the harmful rhetoric. I'm just going over the principles of it now. So again, Black Pill UNISPHERE, Redefining Humanity 101, Elevating the Consciousness, Inspiring the Soul, and Uplifting the Spirit. There's 3 things that have humanity on chokehold, that has humanity in a chokehold. Relationships, race, and religion. We're in the process. When it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're in the season of recovery to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperation to receive recompense. right? So we have to when it comes to relationships, we have to decenter to receive self-alignment, because when it comes to, that's why the pills are black and white, because we have to understand balance and duality, cause and effect, which explains so much of the cognitive dissonance on this app and in people in real life, because people don't, how is it that we keep ramming our heads up against the same wall, getting in the same situations, and expect a different result? That's kind of insanity. It's because when it comes to subjectivity and objectivity, my quote in philosophy is that there's 6 sides to the cube, not 4 angles to the square. There's 6 sides to this cube. We're missing so many sides of this and angles of how and why. So this is to teach the understanding and to really look at how, right? This is understanding the mechanics of how we got here and why we're here, why we're tired, why we feel like women want to separate from men, why men feel like they're so angry and viciously spewing their vitriol due to their lack of acknowledgement, because they don't understand their position in society. Decolonize, understanding the system. You know what I'm saying? This thing is deeper than just color. You know what I'm saying? It's a mindset. When you understand love, when you understand, look at things from a balance and duality perspective, you understand cause and effect. You understand life is based upon principle, and you understand what your values are. Right? Decentering, decolonizing, and deconstructing. Because society taught us subjectivity and objectivity. When love is attract culture, when we've been taught chase culture. Chase culture has no foundation, point blank period, because it's based off of external validation. When love is based off of connection, which is attract culture, which operates. So I need us to understand that love is spiritual. A lot of people think that love is emotion. It's not. It's spirit. It deals with your emotions, because your soul is made up of the mind, will, and emotions, right? But I need us to understand, like in the spiritual world, each realm has its own plane, right? Your emotions is one realm. Your spirit is a different realm. Your thoughts and intellect, but they all connect and work interconnectively inside of you. But we got to break down all these mechanics and understand the understanding is understanding the mechanics and how these things work, so that we can have overstanding. And once you have overstanding, which is the ability to be able to carry it out and function and operate into your new self, because that's another thing when it comes to of accountability. Accountability is liberation. Understanding that we are in a transformation. And if I'm not, as a spiritual person, I believe, and if any spiritual people in here, I believe that we're still in Pluto retrograde. Pluto deals with rebirth. Hence why you feel lethargic. Hence why we're feeling so emotionally heavy. You're transforming, because now when it comes to accountability, which starts with self, we're releasing a lot of these habits. We're releasing a lot of these ideals. We're releasing a lot of ways, right? Decentering. We're releasing external validation. We're releasing codependency. We're releasing attachment. And as I said earlier, there's no such thing as a healthy attachment. Attachment in itself is toxic. I don't care what the test says. Because we're dealing with the root and the intent, right? And that's the issue of why the dating pool is full with piss, because it lacks intention, right? When choices shouldn't be made off of emotion, it should be based on purpose. Because that's why we're going in and out of different quote unquote relationships. First of all, they're not even really relationships, they're situations. Let's call things what they are, right? Because in order to have a relationship, you have to be relational. The only thing that you should be in is a relationship in yourself, right? Because if I'm self-aligned, then that's the issue. Anything that you're outside of yourself is bondage. The only thing you should be in is in yourself. We're not in a relationship, right? We have a relationship. Due to me being in a relationship with myself first and being self-aligned, by default, when I focus on me, everything outside of me that's meant for me automatically aligns with me. Okay? Understand the difference between in and with, right? It's the result. We're talking about cause and effect. I align and focus on myself. Everything that's specifically meant for me according to divine will and purpose, because now I'm being intentional about my actions. Everything that's meant for me automatically, that means I don't have to do anything. All I got to do is just focus on me, right? It automatically aligns with me. But the issue with chase culture is that we're too focused on everything outside of us. We're too focused on over everybody else. Rule of thumb, mind your business and stop minding everybody else's. And rule number 2, stop minding everybody else's business. Mind your business, focus on you, and then stop minding everybody else's business. We'll have better results in society. Focus on you. And what's meant for you will automatically come to you. That's attract culture, right? We have to realign. You know what I'm saying? We have to really understand what it means to in the idea of what the church was saying about repentance. It means adjust your position. It's the approach. Our approach has been backwards the whole time. Because chase culture, which is based off of subjectivity and objective standpoints, have missed the mark because it lacks foundation, and it's based off of emotion, and emotion has no logic, reason, or foundation in it, because we think that love is based off of emotion, and it's not. It's based off of spirit. Love is spiritual, which operates off the system of balance and duality. Hence why we think that we're in love, but not. It's infatuation. I need us to understand that there was never love. It was infatuation. We was infatuated with the idea of a thing, with the results of a thing, but didn't have the proper understand the proper protocol or the proper approach to get the results that we wanted. It was infatuation. It was not love. Hence why we keep seeing the same results over and over and over again, because we did not have the proper formula. We were not on our square. We were offset due to false information. Everything that society taught us about quote unquote love was not love. It was infatuation. And I think that that's why we get people saying things like, oh, well, love is conditional. There's no such thing as unconditional love. That's because you never experienced it. You never experienced it because of society, decolonize, right? Society don't care about this. And the funny thing about it is they know the truth. You know what I'm saying? But again, redefining humanity 101, elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit. That's what the Black Pill UNISPHERE is about. 3 things that have humanity in a chokehold: relationships, race, and religion. Season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're recovering to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're recuperating to receive recompense. And this is all in the season. We're in the season of accountability. And accountability just simply means that I'm focusing on myself and taking a self-evaluation to elevate my consciousness and transform to be the best that I can possibly be, right? So that I can receive everything that is meant for me according to my initial purpose on this earth. Dominion over nonsense. Be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, and have dominion. That is the natural ordinance of mankind. And to be fruitful, the first fruit of the spirit, because love is the foundation and love is spiritual, is love. So when you're fruitful, you multiply. And there's so many nuances of what multiply means. It just doesn't mean particularly reproducing. When you're fruitful, you multiply, then you subdue the earth. That's when you know that you have dominion. And I'm talking about interpersonally, within yourself, because you are the God of your own universe. So when it comes to decentering, we're releasing external validation is based off of chase culture, which is based off of codependency, expectations, and attachment. That's all based off emotion. That has no foundation. We are replacing that for self-alignment, understanding interdependency, because by cause and effect, like I said, once we are self-aligned, everything, and you have a relationship, hey Kay, how are you? When you understand that love is based upon self-alignment, right? And interdependency, connection, not attachment, interdependency, not codependency. Release the expectations of others. Only thing that you should have expectations in is yourself. Only thing that you should, being in a relationship outside of yourself is automatically bondage, and the alignment is off. We've missed the formula or the protocol of the proper approach. It starts with self, right? When I'm in a relationship with myself, I am self-aligned, and everything that's meant for me outside of me will automatically attract to me, and I can have listen to the words that I'm saying. I can have a relationship. I can have a relationship with, right? I'm not in a relationship externally. I'm in a relationship with myself, self-alignment, and due to that self-alignment, I can have a relationship with somebody. So by default, if I don't operate from that principle and I'm looking to be in a relationship outside of me, the formula is wrong, and I'm automatically going to get the effed up results because it's not based on the proper foundation. It's not based on the proper approach. Self-alignment. I'm in a relationship with myself, and due to that, I have a relationship with. Okay. You catch the formula. Y'all see the approach, right? You see how we're reshifting I'm in a relationship with myself, self-alignment, and due to that, by default, cause and effect. We're talking about cause and effect. I have a relationship with, not in. Hey Jameer, how are you? Self-alignment. I'm in a relationship with myself, and due to cause and effect, by default, I have a relationship with you. Okay? Because I want us to understand it's the placement and the approach and why we are getting the results that we're getting. Because everything is based on outside of self when it starts in self. Right? We're talking about, when we wonder why we have trust issues, and we wonder why we have quote unquote commitment issues, because it's all about our placement. Anything in outside of self is automatically going to lead to bondage, because I need people to understand. Look up the definition of commitment. There's actually two definitions, right? The first definition of commitment is to be committed to a cause. Okay. And the second commitment definition of commitment is to restrict and bondage. So based off of what I've already explained about attract culture and chase culture, the two systems, balance and duality and subjectivity and objectivity. The first definition is based off of the spirit. I'm glad that you're listening, Jameer. And the second definition is based off of external validation, which is based off emotions, what chase culture. See, when it comes to the first definition of commitment, which is to be committed to a cause, I'm committed to love. I'm committed to perfect love yourself. I'm committed to purpose. I'm committed to me. I'm committed to self-alignment. You shouldn't be committed to anybody outside of yourself, because by default, okay, because this is a love operates with balance and duality. By default, it automatically places you in the second definition, which becomes restriction and bondage. Hence why when we get in relationships outside of ourselves, they become pressure and it becomes heavy, and we have to meet all of these needs. That's the wrong approach. That's when you feel that and you see these things, that's an automatically red flag that you know where it's going to go. That's why relationships are quote unquote the idea, because is falling fast, because the idea lacks foundation, and it's not based off the proper foundation. I'm in a relationship with myself, though. As I was just explaining, being in a relationship outside of yourself doesn't heed the particular results that we're looking for. I'm speaking off a principle. As you're in a relationship with yourself, by default, what's meant for me based due to self-alignment will automatically attract to me, which in place means I have a relationship with. because and exactly, Jameer, because it's the foundation of all things. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that y'all understand when and then when it comes to trust, right? We talk about why I don't trust it. We wonder why we have so many trust issues because, again, the concept that you put your trust in other people. Your trust should only be in yourself. Your trust should be only be in anything in should only be in self, not anything outside of self. When it comes to self, in. When it comes to outside of self, have with. Have and with. So we're not in a relationship, we have a relationship. Because I'm in a relationship with myself. Due to the alignment, self-alignment. I focus on me, you focus on you, and we come together. Right? Because anything else lacks foundation and it's forced. And it's, that's the thing, that's the issue with chase culture. Trust. Our trust shouldn't be in people. Your trust should be in self. In. Right? And we wonder why, like, we're just so, like, defeated. Because we just had it wrong. Thank y'all for engaging with the live. Okay, Serena, you got it. Thank y'all for continuing to, for those who are here, engaging with the live. Yeah. So yeah, trust. Our trust shouldn't be in anything in outside of self. Automatically by default will set you up for failure, because it's based, again, all those things that I named that it comes with chase culture are a linked chain. So by default, it automatically breeds those things. When it comes to external validation, and when you put automatically by default, when you put your trust in something outside of yourself, it's automatically external validation. It's automatically based off of expectation. It's automatically based off of codependency and attachment by default. But when you focus on yourself and you trust in yourself, you have a relation. The only relationship you should be in is in yourself. Anything outside of you, I have a relationship with you. You know what I'm saying? We're just re-evaluating. We're digging. We're re-implementing the foundation. She they good, Valentina. Hopefully they get what I'm saying. You know. But yeah, as I was saying, trust. The only trust that you should put is in yourself. The moment that you put your trust in something outside of self, that's when you've automatically set yourself up for failure. When my trust is in self, by default, by default, I build trust with you. I have trust with you, not my trust in you, because now it becomes bondage. Now I've taken away the ability. I put, you know, the controller in somebody else's hands to regulate. And if they don't have the cognizance or the understanding of how I function, they're going to misregulate and dysregulate the system. And can't have that. The hurting people in society right now. Reason why the reason why the dating pool is filled with piss is because of the fact of misregulation, and people are putting their trust in other people. People are the idea of being in a relationship outside of self is the dysfunction of the true essence of connectivity, because it's based off of chase culture, which is based on external validation, expectations, attachment, and it lacks foundation because it's not the proper approach to how to fully receive the essence of true love. It's based off of infatuation. Attract culture is based off of infatuation. Chase culture is based off of infatuation. Okay. How many people are following, understanding, getting the gist? I'll keep going over and over this and reiterating these principles because life, again, love is based off of spirit, balance, and duality. It's not based off of subjectivity and objectivity. That's the difference between the tree of life, right? That's the difference between the tree of life and the knowledge of good and evil. I need us to, understand the ideology. Looking for something. Let me see. I'm just looking for something. Hold on, y'all. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Can y'all see that? Oh, wrong one. Hold on. Wrong one. But I was trying to show you the chart that I had made about the difference between attract culture and chase culture. But hey, psychology pop. I was going over the principles of what the Black Pill Unisphere is, what the intentions are, because I've received messages and people will be like, "Oh, you're a black pillar." No, I'm not a black pillar. I'm not an incel. I definitely researched it. Before I took it, but it goes perfectly with well, at least I hijacked it. Okay, we're redefining humanity, elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit. Okay, the foundational principles of the UNISPHERE is that there's three things that have a chokehold on humanity: race, relationships, and religion. When it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're decolonizing in the season of recovery to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperation to receive recompense, right? So in the season of accountability, as we are in particularly, right, accountability starts with self. And accountability is liberation. Point blank period. So in order to achieve these things, we're pretty much breaking down the things that's been harming us from society, from a perspective and of balance and duality, right? Understanding cause and effect and how did we get here. Understanding this is the understanding, the mechanics, right? So that then we can be able to overstand, which is be able to carry it out and walk in a new light, right? So when it comes to relationships, we're decentering. When it comes to race, we're decolonizing. And when it comes to religion, we're deconstructing. And when I'm talking about religion, I'm talking about the institutionalization and the institutionalism, right? And the traditionalism, which all at the substratum of it is YT supremacy or for inferiority, the system. And every one of these things back each other. Hence why the idea of love is it's pushed in movies, pushed in pop culture, pushed in the media, pushed in the music. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with love. But the thing about it is the intent and it doesn't have any foundation because it's not what they called love was really infatuation. They didn't teach us the principles. The church lacked the cognizance to teach us love from a foundational standpoint. They just told us it was a white man that died on the thing when it's so much more intuitive. It's so much more higher than that, right? Because it wasn't taught off the right principles nor the right foundation. It was taught off of subjectivity and objectivity, hence which is, i.e., why man fell in the first place, which is the knowledge of tree, the knowledge of good and eating off the knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Excuse me, get my words twisted. Right, when love operates off the perspective off the intention of balance and duality, right? Love is spiritual, it's not emotional, right? Love is spirit. It operates off the system of balance and duality. We need to understand cause and effect and how we got here. Okay? Decentering, decolonizing, deconstructing, self-alignment, loving yourself, and understanding the proper protocol, right? Understanding the approach. It was never love, it was infatuation. We was infatuated with the idea of getting married without understanding the intent and the institutionalization of what marriage is and what it does, when actually based off love and duality. Marriage is union and oneness. It's spiritual, right? We have to understand the systems, where they came from, who invented them, and why, right? This is why, well, people always be like, well, oh, everything is about race. You absolutely dang sure it is, because you don't understand how the system works. You don't understand how the system, you don't even recognize that you even are in a system. From an interpersonal perspective to a emotional perspective. Thank you. Thank you. So we're decolonizing from all aspects. We're decolonizing from the idea of nuclear family, because initially us as the melanated community, you know what I'm saying? We came from the village mentality. We didn't come from a nuclear family standpoint. That system and patriarchy was never for us. Let's get back to our roots. Let's get back to taking care of the village. Get back to honoring and prioritizing women, women and protecting women and children, right? Providing is just more than in monetary gains. You cannot. There's more aspects, right? Because I always say that there's 6 sides to the cube, but not 4 angles to the square, right? Patriarchy is our kryptonite, right? This system is not for us. We have to get back to the village, man. To get back to the village, and get back to defending and protecting. And protecting is much more than physical and providing monetary gain. It is spiritual. It is emotional. I'm covering you. I'm uplifting you. I understand your side. I'm listening. I'm actively listening to you. That is what women are looking for when she wants to be talking about protection. She wants to know that she's emotionally validated. She wants to know that she's heard. She wants to know that her ideas are accepted, because she understands. She understands her purpose. She understands her purpose in assisting me in becoming one with you. Why are you negating her every time she opens her mouth? Because she was created to exude power when she speaks life into you. What are we doing? So silencing her, right, is ineptly bringing death to you. Silencing the black woman's voice, or silencing your counterpart's voice, the black woman's voice, is literally is taking the life from you. She is your breath of life. She is the air of your lungs, right? Because she protects you as well. This is about equality, right? This is what the UNISPHERE is about. She is your breath of life. She brings life into you, right? Let's go back into religion, because Christ said, I thought, the Bible that I read said that the least that you've done unto these, because remember, we're not speaking from an institutional or traditional perspective. We're speaking from a perspective of principle. Life is about principle and what we value, right? And Christ is a representation of a higher consciousness. So Christ specifically said in Matthew that the least that you've done unto these, you've done unto me. So to the red pillars who are upholding patriarchy and using the Bible as a way of subjectivity, I believe it was Paul that said that submit ye yourselves to one another. That sounds like equality to me. That sounds like oneness to me. Submit ye yourselves. That means you first, as you say that you're the leader, that means you first have to submit. Have you submitted to yourself? How can you expect anybody outside of you to submit when you first have not submitted to yourself? And you are actively demanding this subjugation, right? Without without meeting any qualifications of yourself, but yet you want to talk about 50-50. Oh, what are we doing? What are we doing? Exactly. We are beyond institutionalized. And we are here to because the foundation was built off of using the parable when the higher consciousness said to build the foundation on the rock and not the dirt, not the sand. Patriarchy and the system and subjectivity, operating from a subjective and objective standpoint, because we're talking about the understanding and breaking down the mechanics of how we got here, right? It built the foundation on the sand because external validation, expectations, attachments, codependency, right, is building the foundation on the sand. If you have the ideology and think that love is just emotional, then you feel you have the understanding that love is based off of off of chase culture, when no, love is based off of balance and duality. Love is spiritual. That's the truth essence of foundation. That's when you have a foundation that's built on the rock, right? So when it comes to decentering, centering each other. Yes, woman. Yes, woman. I love you, but I have to decenter you. I have to keep myself first because I understand the proper logistics of how this thing works, right? I understand cause and effect. I understand that if I put anybody else outside of myself first, by default, I automatically get the results that we've been getting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to self-align. I'm going to heal. I'm going to put myself first, right? And because the true essence of love is going to force your counterpart, the person that you are in connection with, right? Because there's a difference between connection and attachment. And stop telling people they're healthy attachments, because attachments in itself is toxic. There's a difference between attachment and connection. Because and the argument that I make is that when you look at, even when you take the test, when you look at the intent based off of balance and duality, hey, Harmony, right? It's all about the foundation. Then I would say that that's a connection and not an attachment. How are you, Harmony? How's it going? Everybody, how's everybody doing? Have we drunk water today? Have we affirmed ourselves? To all the people tapping, thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for, those who understand, have a better understanding of what, the UNISPHERE is. I hijacked the movement. I am not a black pillar. I'm rewriting the ideology. We're redefining humanity, elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit, as we are decentering, decolonizing, and deconstructing. You know what I'm saying? Understanding that there's three things that's had humanity in a chokehold, right? Relationships, my water's right here, but I got to get another bottle. Thank you. Understanding that relationships, race, and religion has had humanity in a chokehold, right? And we are now redefining that. We are now redefining ourselves. Okay? We're in the season of, when it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're understanding the system and how we got played through society. We're in the season of recovery to receive restitution, right? And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperation to receive recompense. Okay? We're in the season of accountability. And accountability, all this is essentially self-awareness, right? So that I can introspect and do what I need to do so that I can receive the results. It's based off of purpose. And we're looking at everything from not a subjective or objective standpoint, but from a place of balance and duality, because life is cause and effect. How did we get here? Right? We're identifying all of the things that was given to us, right? And we're finding the flaws in them, and then realigning ourselves with our soul and our spirit, right? And putting things in their proper perspective, because everything is energy, intent, and perspective. Everything. So this is just the foundation. This is just the foundation, and understanding the work that we're going to be doing with this series and with this movement. You know what I'm saying? It's a very unhealthy relationship with marriage and relationships, because it's based off the the foundation that relationships was given was not love. It was infatuation. It was never love in the first place. So it's no emotion. It's just, I need us to understand that love is spiritual. It's not emotional. It deals with the emotions, but it's not emotional. Love is spiritual. Okay, I'm talking about two systems, right? For all my Bible, for all the Bible readers, that came from the church like I did, we was taught the flesh and the spirit, right? Love is based off the spirit. It's not based off of the flesh. Emotion is based off of the flesh. So we just got it backwards. And this is the true essence of what our higher self was saying when it was said to repent, for the kingdom is at hand, because you are the God of your own universe. So the kingdom is already within you, right? So this is the step of making choices off of intention and purpose and not emotions. Because again, making choices based off the emotion is based off of external validation, which is chase culture. Emotions have no foundation. No, I know, but I'm just saying. Thank you for the Panther Claw. How are you doing, Miss Abdul? I'll be seeing you in other spaces and lives. Thank you for joining. I hope that you've got something, had a better understanding of what this movement is and what it's about. We're just here to do damage control. We're just here to do damage control. We're here to. I am specifically anti-red pill. And any philosophy or any type of harmful rhetoric that goes against our communities, against humanity, against dismantling. I'm all for this. I'm all for dismantling patriarchy. No, ma'am. I'm not bringing down emotions at all. I understand the it's all about the placement and the approach, not the lack of importance. So that's emotions is where the power is, but it's the misunderstanding of emotions and how we base our choices that causes us to get the results that we do. Right? Understanding that emotions is where the power is. It's the placement. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the emotions. I'm just saying that due to our choices and the premise of how we base our choices off of emotions, right? Because like you said, they're the power and the drive behavior with consequences, right? Is due to the fact of how we base our emotions, right? Because even in let's talk about the realm of emotions. And mind you, this is coming from, for those who understand astrology from a spiritual perspective, this is a person I'm a Cancer and a Scorpio moon. So I understand emotions very well, right? Understand in the emotional realm, there's a difference between what you feel and how you feel, right? How you feel is I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm sad, right? But what you feel is I should have paid attention to those red flags. Well, maybe I should turn left. Let me just close it. You know what I'm saying? Your intuition. But the issue is, right? A lot of times we make choices off how we feel and not what we feel. Again, going back to what you said about the consequences, the emotions drive behavior with consequence, right? Because just like, if you ever watched the X-Men movies, right? A lot of their powers was based off of their emotion, but they didn't know how to control it. It was until they understood how their emotions work, they were better able to control their emotions. They were able to control their power. Because I say all the time that emotions is where the power is. So thank you for confirming one of my quotes. But the subconscious is where the emotions is where the power is, and the subconscious is where the manifestation takes place. Spiritual makes me think of those lifelong couples. You said how versus what? Oh, how versus what? How we feel and what we feel, Miss Psychology Pop. There's a difference between how we feel and what we feel. How we feel is I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm sad. What we feel is following your intuition, right? One is internal and one is external. What are some Chris reality check? You said you know some great comparisons. But yeah, I've been rapping for like the past couple hours. I love this. Does anybody Yeah, I was just breaking down the emotional realm because we haven't being in a subjective and an objective society. We was only taught to base things off of our emotions and how we feel, and that's the external, which call because we're talking about cause and effect. We're talking about cause and effect, right? Balance and duality. When you base things off of external, it has no foundation because the foundation is the spirit, which is love. So by default, if I base things off of emotion and flesh, hence it's going to heed the results, different results than what I was looking for. Instead of me listening to my spirit and listening to the intuition, basing things my off of love. You know what I'm saying? Off of the spirit. Listening to the church. For those who came from the church, they call it listening to the Holy Spirit. And the spiritual community calls it following your intuition. It's all the same thing, just different wording. Does anybody have any questions? We can bring I will open up the panel. And does anybody have any questions about, the Unisphere, about the Black Pill, or about this movement, how we're redefining humanity, anything that you've heard, you can request that, and we can, have a discussion about anything that have any questions or anything. I like hearing back from you guys. Dang, we're at 21K likes. I appreciate everybody for who has been engaging with the conversation. Okay, if anybody doesn't, dang, I want to hear more about how versus what. You hit a nerve, I guess. Okay, very well. So, and this is from personal experience and introspection, right? There's a difference when we're talking about the emotional realm. There's a difference between what we feel and how we feel. One is external, one is internal. Okay? Emotions are the natural. Okay? The internal, because we're talking about the emotional realm. How we feel, right, is I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm sad, that pissed me off, right? But what we feel is our intuition. Turn left. I should have followed. I should have listened to followed the red flags. Maybe I should. Maybe I should do this. I'm not going to go outside today. When you listen to that inner voice, right? My question is, why redefine a movement made by white men? It's called reclamation. It's the same way that we took the N word. Reclamation. It's all about everything is energy, intent, and perspective. We're redefining. Like I said, redefining humanity. The unconscious mind is the most powerful, and unprocessed emotions are stored there. Client duty. Coach Kelly, I would love to, get your perspective, see your insight on a lot of things. Maybe we can, go live on something. What is physiological? What is physiological? What do you mean by that, psychology? What aspect are you talking about? Catch you later, brother. Okay. All right, Coach Kelly. Yeah, the intuition, your gut, internal. Absolutely. I studied the brain in some parts of yes, we can do that. Oh, the body itself, all components. Well, yeah. I was just breaking down just the different aspects of it, you know. Speaking particularly spirit, soul, you know, spirit, you have a spirit, soul, and body. Spirit, soul, body. I'm speaking from the spiritual soul and the soul aspect. This is the inner working. You know, again, we elevate the consciousness by inspiring the soul and uplifting the spirit. So, as we're talking about the understanding, the overstanding with us, intuition is not the body; it is spirit. Absolutely, that's what I was saying. It's internal. Exactly, intuition is definitely spirit. I agree. I was saying the emotions, right, is external. Because the whole point of me saying it was that we base love off of emotion, and I'm saying that love is based off of spirit because emotion is based off of subjective and objective standpoint. It doesn't have any foundation, but love is based off of balance and duality. You know what I'm saying? Which is the spirit, which is the difference between what we feel and how we feel, or how we feel and what we feel. Yes, exactly. Now, mind you, y'all, wait till we start diving deeper into when I get into, you know, the principles of how love works. We start going into the construct of race and how religion played a big part. When we start diving deep and how these things affect us as a person, the rewiring, there's so much rewiring and mechanics that we have to. But I just wanted to give the foundation, understand what this movement is about. You know, so it's a lot of damage control that we have to do, a lot of debunking ideologies and just restoring. So again, black pill, UNISPHERE, right? Hence why the pill is black and white, balance and duality, because everything is energy, intent, and perspective. UNISPHERE, because making choices based off of purpose. You know what I'm saying? When you understand what system that you operate off of, whether attract or chase culture, which essentially subjective standpoints, objective standpoints, or balance and duality, right? It we were looking at why we got the results the way we did. It was never love in the first place. It was infatuation. So redefining humanity, elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, uplifting the spirit. Three things that have has humanity and a chokehold: relationships, race, and religion. Right? And when it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. We're recovering from. When it comes to race, we're recovering to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, and I'm talking about the institutionalization and traditionalism of religion, we're receiving recuperation and recompense. So we're decentering, decolonizing, and deconstructing. This is happening right now as we speak. This is the season that we're in. This is the season of accountability. Accountability starts with self, and the goal is liberation. If anybody has more questions, please. Is there anybody that would like to engage in conversation with me? I would like to open up the panel. Exactly, Valentina. 1 Corinthians 13:4-8. Those are the characteristics. How are you?
Hey, Dominion, how are you?
I
Donna.
am I'm exceptionally well. It's always good to have you.
Okay. So, um, I came up here to ask you what I said in parentheses.
In
'Cause
parentheses.
I'm assuming that you're like half my age, okay?
Okay.
Um, and I wonder how you came to have this type of mindset at such a young age.
um, my spiritual journey started 15 years ago, and a lot of these I've actually been preaching this stuff for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful because everything that I've said is based off of is based off of personal revelation. Oh, everything that I am have come about is due to um, personal revelation, due through personal relationship and experience.
Like as a child or as
Um, I
as
was
an adolescent? What do you mean?
no within the past 15 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, my spiritual journey started 15 years ago, and everything that I'm saying now is based off of personal experience and personal revelation.
Hmm.
Yeah, and personal relationship.
I mean, you do realize that for your, I'm going to say, alleged age, that it is quite unique.
Thank you so much.
No, I'm asking you, do you realize that? I'm being
Hmm.
serious.
Um,
I'm a blunt person, so I just say it. Do
no,
you realize that?
maybe particularly. Um, it's funny because I I've been sitting on this for a while, you know.
Hmm.
But everything I love when you understand timing, you understand when you understand discernment, you understand time, seasons, and timing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying, and the realization of because when I'm not sure about
Hold up,
life,
I'm gonna stop you right there because you're gonna answer my question, Don. Look, do your parents think like this?
no, no, I'm the chosen one.
Was there was
I'm the
there
chosen.
someone who was significant in your life when you were a very young child who thought like this? What?
Um, there there were people who aided. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That were milestones, but
Okay.
this is all through personal revelation and experience
Mm-hmm.
and self realization.
I hear you, and I how do I put this? I agree and believe with you. Okay. But the unfortunate part is I can come in here and have an intellectual conversation with you. So beware. Okay. Um. So I hear you. And
Bring it, bring it, because I love intellectual conversation.
no, you know I didn't talk to you on the panel before. So. Okay.
Absolutely,
So
bring it.
okay. So unfortunately for you, the answer that you just gave me doesn't make sense because although I am a godly person, I'm also a scientist. I'm a therapist.
Okay.
Psychology is a science, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And science says our character is developed between the ages of 0 and 8. We have never been able to prove that to be wrong. The character deep inside of you is fully developed between the ages of 0 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
We even have a funny quote: after 8, it's too late. So I'm wondering, it's just hard for me not to believe that you did not already have the character deep inside of you, even if you weren't living that. Do you get what I'm saying?
No, I absolutely agree.
Okay.
Right. I see it in the comments. The essence of who you are. Yes, I had it. It wasn't discovered or fully tapped in, but my first spiritual experience was at 9. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, Phoenix, that's what I'm saying. The essence of who you are is there. So you answered my question. There.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it come from?
Um, there's multiple ways that I can answer that. Being a chosen one, right? My ancestors,
Okay.
and then I was raised by a silent end of the silent generation boomer and Gen X.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Two single, independent black women.
Okay. That
You
says a
know
lot.
that was deeply ingrained in religion. So I was introduced to Christianity very young.
Mhm.
I wasn't raised in the church, but it was instilled in me.
Mhm.
And then when I started my own journey and developed my own personal relationship, because it was never religion for me, it was always personal relationship. And everything that I learned inside of the church was merely confirmation of what I had already realized. You know what I'm saying? So, because when we dive,
Mhm.
if you follow me on this journey and we dive into the religious aspect, I'm going
Mhm.
to pick apart everywhere where we missed it
Mm.
with the very tool that was given with us,
Mhm.
because we misinterpreted it when it comes to the message of the gospel, to who even Christ was. Because I always say, one of my quotes is that we always focus on the image of Christ, but never
Mhm.
focus, but miss the essence.
Mhm. I
We
got
focus,
you.
we
Yeah, I
focus too
got
much
you.
on the image and miss the essence.
Mhm.
Because of the fact, yes, I do. I absolutely believe in Yahushua HaMashiach and Yahweh, the Most High. However,
Mhm.
um, again, we were taught, again, institution. We are deconstructing from institutionalism and traditionalism, not the concept,
Okay.
because the concept is based off of spirit, which with life in itself is based off of principle and value. Where we missed it is that we based what was that's why we don't understand that we don't take the word for spiritual face value, because we're looking at it from a subjective and objective standpoint, when spirit is balanced in duality. The concept of God and the word is balanced in duality, not subjectivity and objectivity.
Okay.
That is the difference between knowledge of the tree and life, and why he said not to eat from the
I
knowledge
want
of
you to bring your parents in here next time you have a panel. I got some questions. I'm just playing with you. I got some questions.
Oh,
As a
well,
parent who has children your age and probably just a little bit older, based on my alleged guess, yeah, I want to meet them. Mm-hmm. But I'm about to go back down. I'm working on my documentation. I just
okay.
had to ask that as I was listening. I'm like, wait a minute. I got time today, and there's no one else up here.
Well, I appreciate you, and
All
if you
right.
have any questions, feel
Okay.
free to ask.
All right. All right. I'll be down in the comments.
Okay,
All right.
bye. Thank you. Is there anybody else that'd like to come up and have any questions for me? Asia, where you been? Missed you. How are you? Everything all right? How do I get it back to? But yeah, redefining Black Pill Unisphere, right? Redefining humanity 101. Elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, uplifting the spirit. This is right here. I call it the R9 series. So whenever you hear relationships, race, and religion, right, we're talking about R9 as we're in the season of accountability. Okay. We're decentering, decolonizing, deconstructing. We're when relationships, race, and religion, when it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're in the season of recovery to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperation to receive recompense. Decentering, decolonizing, deconstructing. Okay. What's going on? How are you? So, yeah, it's a lot of work that we have to do. A lot of debunking false ideology that goes against our humanity, that has been harming us, that has been subjectively and objectively destroying us, because when it said the people perish for a lack of knowledge, this is what I was talking about. And everything is energy, intent, and perspective. There's 6 sides to the cube, not 4 angles to the square. And balance and understanding life from balance and duality helps us see all of those blind spots that we missed. This is the understanding. This is the how, understanding the how. How did we get here? Why are we here? Hence why people are having such a hard time with accountability, because they're missing themselves. They're missing feeling. You know what I'm saying? Everything that the choices that they make, they're not based on purpose. They're based off of emotional that doesn't have any. It's offset. It's not based on the wrong. It's not based on the right foundation. It's based off of the sand and not the stone, and not based off the rock. Love is the rock. Love is spirit. Love is balance and duality. Operates from the system of balance. I'm talking about 2 systems. Balance and duality, which is love, which is based off of the spirit. Subjectivity and objectivity, based off of chase culture, which is the external. That's what society taught us. So, yeah. How many of us need rest? How many of us are tired? You know what I'm saying? How many of us are in the realization that we are recovering? You know what I'm saying? We need to recuperate from all of the institutionalization, all the institutionalism, all the isms, all the obias, the phobias. This again all derives from the patriarchal system. You know what I'm saying? And it's and the patriarchal system, it's falling, and that's why a lot of men are losing their shit, because it can't sustain. It can no longer withhold. So from an individual perspective, we should understand by now that the deception that society taught us is that the energy of masculine and feminine energy is synonymous to gender roles. That's one of the most dangerous things that you could ever conceptualize, is that energy is synonymous to gender. That's crazy. When men and women have masculine and feminine energy, and I can prove it, and I can show you by reading your birth chart, because the birth chart tells you how much the balance of energy. We'll get into that too. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why men are having such a hard time with themselves is because of the fact that society taught us to suppress the feminine energy within. Because masculine and feminine energy are characteristics. They're qualities and characteristics of the individual. Hence why the pill is black and white for balance and duality. And what happens is, when men are taught to suppress their emotions, right, they're missing the feminine energy. Hence why they can't communicate and lack the emotional intelligence of women now, because they're missing a part of themselves. Because we have not yet surrendered to that portion of ourself. So in turn, lash out and take it out on the part that is suppressed within themselves. And you and women are the reflection of that part of themselves that they have suppressed, in turn hurting themselves. When she's there to uplift you, when she's there to be their healing, there to be your guidance, there to be your breath of life, there to uplift you, to push her forward. All you had to do, Adam, was build the Garden of Eden. But no. So now you're turning around due to your emotional intelligence and your a lack of imbalance. You're now telling Eve to build the Garden of Eden, to name all the animals when it was your job to do that. She's there to help you maintain the garden and assistant, but it was your job, right? To name all the animals and make the garden. What are we doing? This is to all my drizzle ninjas and soft guy era ninjas. That y'all are ludicrous. You are abandoning your post as a man and then you expect women to respect you? Do you know how goofy you look? Do you know how stupid you sound? I could not, yo, I could not ever, ever, I could not ever ascribe to no ideology like that. What? Okay, Adam. You telling Eve that you no longer want to make the garden of Eden for her. Okay. Let's see how far that gets you, Mr. 50-50. And then you wonder why women are sprinkling in your ass. Exactly. Goofy goobers. Exactly. It's goofy. I will not understand it for my life. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard because me, as a healing black man, right? I've always prided myself upon, because again, my brand is called Dominion Over Nonsense for a reason. So understanding that love is based upon balance and duality, that means you make choices based upon purpose and not emotion, right? The mandate for mankind was to be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, and having dominion is a result of being fruitful. So if you're talking about some drizzle, and I don't want to be the provider anymore, how is that being fruitful? Because it's not based in love. Society, like I said, society taught us infatuation. That has no foundation. It's the foundation is the sand. Men don't understand weathering the storm, so they rather give up during the season. Exactly. Bunch of can't cuss on live. A bunch of it's a bunch of coochie ninjas, man. How do you sit with yourself? I don't understand how you sit with yourself and look at yourself as a man and say that you are a man while actively denying your manhood and then blaming women for saying that they're taking your manhood from you. Because what? Make that make sense. Can we make that make sense? Like the logic is not logicking at all. Like there's so much projection. Like make 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 it make sense. Psychology pop. Only laughing because it just doesn't make any sense to me. How you say that you're the leader, that you're the head, and you're the man. You know what I'm saying? But you're abandoning your principles. You're abandoning your post. You lack foundation. And this is what we mean by why we have this. And this right here, once we understand these principles and how the system works, this is how we dismantle the patriarchy. It's the self-realization of who we are so that we can know what's meant for us and know our place and where we belong. Men like you give me hope for real. I hope that I really need right now. Please speak louder as if they don't. Oh, thank you, Angel Face. I appreciate that. And that's the whole point of the UNISPHERE, right? That's why I hijacked the black pill, because I want us to give us the perspective of balance and duality. We're too subjective. Absolutely, Francesca, come up. I'm looking for people to engage in interaction with. Have a conversation with me. I'm all for intellectual, honest conversations. There's too many disingenuous conversations on TikTok. Francesca, what's going on?
Hey,
How are you?
I'm okay. Just sitting here trying to. I was in Kron's live and he when he steps away from his phone
Yeah.
and like that echo that you were having. He was having that, and then like everybody stopped talking. And we were just sitting there in silence.
Shoot.
I was like, let me get.
You know. You said there's an echo.
Yeah, there's one here too.
Oh, okay. Hey, East, what's going on? Okay, but but yeah. So Francesca, um, just to reiterate the purpose of the Unisphere and why I specifically hijacked the black pill, and as you can see, it's black and white. I want people to understand the purpose of this movement, and not to point anybody out, but she know who she is in the comments. The reason why we're going over the foundation of what this movement means is because somebody who was the opposite of West said that I was a black pillar, and I was like, no, 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 I'm not. I hijacked the movement, right? So I'm going over the principles and the philosophy of this. Okay.
I guess we first need to like tell people what black pill is, because I've heard it before, but I don't really know.
Nah, okay. So because I of course I studied it before I took it, right? But it goes into um what I want to do. Hence why my logo for Dominion Over Nonsense is black and white. Because life, I want us to understand life from a perspective of balance and duality. The initial intent of the initial intent of the black pill was talking about the incel ideology. And I was like, that's kind of stupid. I'm gonna debunk that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get into that. But it's I really hijacked this to attack and take down and dismantle red pill talking points. I'm completely anti red pill. They're destructive. They're agents of chaos, agents of white supremacy. They must fall. And their rhetoric is very harmful to us as a whole because they're upholding a system that is suppressing us, and we can no longer operate up under that. He must be talking about cell phones because I can't stand that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I'm the one with the echo. I think it's you.
Ooh, who, me?
I mean, it could be me, but it was you last time. And yes, I agree with what you said. And also, hi Phoenix. And okay, so let me read what you got going on over here. All right, let's see. Three things that has humanity in a chokehold. You got decolonize, decenter, deconstruct. Listen. Oh, this is deep. Okay. Decolonize, race, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we need to recover, restitution. Okay. Whew. Where do I want to start? Oh, decenter relationships. Let's start there. I mean, sometimes I wake up and I think like, why is relationship like the first thing on my mind? I mean, it's not the first thing on my mind, but you know what I'm saying. Like, why is that so important to us? Like romantic relationships, right? We're talking here specifically.
Absolutely. What you can go into give your spell and then I'll follow up.
Okay, yeah, like it's that constant thought of like, oh man, I'm still not in a relationship. I'm in my early 30s. I'm still not in a relationship. I'm not succeeding in life because of like that one thing, and I really have to work on it. It's something I work on literally every single day. I have to tell myself that's not the most important thing. That's not going to pay your bills. That's not going to keep you healthy. Like, it's just, yeah, it's something to work on for sure. There he go again, turning into a dang teacup.
Nah. I guess when each one of us is talking, one of us has to mute. So, but yeah. So I'm gonna break down the flow, right? So we understand the full essential aspects of what the UNISPHERE is about, right? So, and I don't mind, I'll go over this as many times as we need to, because I love it. I'm gonna reiterate it all the time, right? So Black Pill UNISPHERE, we're redefining humanity 101. We are elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit. There's three things that have humanity in a chokehold. It's relationships, race, and religion. Okay? So when it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest so that we can receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're in a season of recovery so that we can receive restitution. Right? And when it comes to religion, for those who didn't hear me, when it comes to race, we're in the season of recovery so that we can see restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperation so that we can receive recompense. Right? In order to, and as we're in, because this is the season of accountability, and accountability is liberation, and the goal is liberation. Okay? So in order to achieve those things, we understand this accountability starts with self. Right? So in order to receive that liberation, when it comes to relationships, we have to decenter and self-align. I'm not the only relationship I should be in is in myself. Anything outside of that I'm in outside of self is bondage. Right? We're realigning the principle. It was never love in the first place. It was infatuation. We're realigning so that we can get the proper foundation. Right? Attract culture versus chase culture. I put my trust and commitment in a relationship in myself so that therefore by default, right, because of cause and effect, balance and duality, when I'm self-aligned and I focus on me, in which you should be focused on, because you're focused on you, we automatically come together by default. I don't have to do anything. All I got to do is stay focused on me. So what's meant for me outside of me automatically aligns with me when I stay focused on myself. My trust is not outside of self, is not in anybody. I'm not in anything outside of myself. My commitment is not to anybody or in anybody outside of myself. Right? So we're releasing by default. By default, anything in outside of myself automatically operates from infatuation, chase culture, external validation, attachment, codependency, expectations. They all follow together like a link. Because it's about the approach. And we're redirecting the approach. Interdependency, connection, internal validation, self-alignment. Okay? I can't, I keep me first, you keep you first. We automatically by default merge together. That's oneness. Okay? When it comes to race, we're recovering from and restitution is not just monetary, but our dignity, our pride, our humanity, everything, our psyche, everything that's been used against us to operate in a system that has been abusing us. That's why we're decolonizing. You know what I'm saying? Understanding how the system works. This is why there's so many talks about race. Why is race talked? Because it affects everything that we do. I need y'all to understand the bigger picture of the social construct. It's not just about the color. We're talking about a whole entire system that doesn't care about the soul, right? And when it comes to religion, which is another system that fortifies the construct, right? That promotes the ideology of backwards of marriage, right? When we talk about religion, we was never taught union and oneness. We was just talk about go get a piece of paper, without being taught how the institution. We're talking about the institutionalism and the institutionalization of these systems and how they affect us, right? We are recuperating from religion so that we can therefore receive recompense. So therefore, we're deconstructing. So decentering, decolonizing, deconstructing.
Well,
Well,
now
now
that you
that you
explained,
explained
oh
it, oh
no,
no,
echo.
echo. Oh,
Now that you explained it, it makes, yeah, like it makes a lot of sense. Like I really align with those things. But I do have a question. When you say that we're in the season of rest, we're in the season of recovery, we're in the season of recuperation, how do we know when that season is over and we're on to the next one? Because, like, for example, we're decentering relationships and we're in the season of rest. And I feel that for myself personally. But I feel like I've been in that season for a while. Just me personally. I don't know, like, societally where we are, but I've been there for a while and I'm still there. How do I know when I'm done? Like, oh,
oh,
I'm
I'm
aligned.
aligned. Boom. When you release the need for external validation, when you feel whole and complete within yourself, not to need the idea of, which is the release of infatuation, that somebody else is meant to complete you, because you understand and have the understanding that I'm complete within myself first. When we release the ideology of 50-50, I take 50, you take, no, it's 100-100. When I got my ish together, when I've received restitution, because remember, you prosper as your soul prospers, right? When we release the ideology of attachment, when we release the ideology of having expectations in other people, when we no longer need anybody else to do anything for us, we do it for ourselves, because the relationship that we have is only in the trust, and the commitment is in ourselves. So by default, dude, remember, because we're talking about balance and duality, by default, due to cause and effect, what's meant for me will automatically align with me. You know what I'm saying? As long as I still have that inner thought that I need these things to fulfill me outside of self, I'm still operating off the foundation or off the system of from a subjective and objective standpoint. Hence, I'm still, you know what I'm saying? So it's, when I talk about the season, I'm talking about a dispensation of time. And when you're in alignment with yourself, the tool that acknowledges or notices that dispensation of time is called discernment, right? Your spirit knows when there are shifts. Your spirit knows when things, because we can definitely feel the spiritual shifts in the dispensation of time between 2012 and 2020, right? The atmosphere is different. Things are, we are not ever going back to the 90s or the early 2000s ever again. Everything started changing simply around, I want to essentially say around for me, stuff changed around 2016, 17, but universally or across the board, it shifted in 2019, 2020. You know what I'm saying? And if you, yeah, Asia, it was from 2020 to now. I noticed like I started my healing, right? It officially started summer of 19. That's when I experienced my first Mercury retrograde. That joint flipped me upside down. It was so much goofy stuff going on. I didn't know what was happening. Whatever that was during July of 2019, that was my first experience of Mercury retrograde. That's when I started my healing journey. And then 2020 happened, and then I started, seeing gaining the concept of religion. I stopped going to church in 2020, and I started understanding the word from a energy and consciousness perspective and not an institutional perspective. I got into astrology. I started reading the birth chart. I started learning the chakras and meditating. And, I studied everything. I studied everything from the Fibonacci sequence to science, psychology pop, and I started understanding different perspectives, because now I only see religion from a conceptual standpoint. I only see it from a conceptual standpoint. When it comes to principles and value, You take what's meant, you take what the good stuff and you leave the rest to the side. But the institutionalism and the traditionalism, right, that was created by man, and all the BS that comes with that, right? I'm completely, utterly against it. Completely, utterly against it, because in itself, the mechanism of religion is the act of self-division. Because had we understood it from a balance and duality perspective, which is the initial purpose, the purpose and the intent and the perspective of the spirits, because that's why we misinterpret the Bible, because we're not reading it from about God is the spirit is balance and duality. Religion is subjective and objective. If the church taught us energy and consciousness, which it wouldn't, we wouldn't be where we are now. And that's just, we missed so much. But I'm not going to get into that rant or tangent, because any Christians in here would be offended. Well, but the truth is the truth. And this is somebody that came from the church, come from a Christian background. We missed it. Okay, we missed the mark. We got to get it together. But yeah.
I was gonna say, there's this book that I bought. It's pretty much about health by, I don't know, you probably know him, Dr. Laila Africa. I don't know if you know him, but he talks a lot about like kind of stopping this mindset, the way like the Europeans have constructed health.
Yes, Dr. Africa. I
Yeah,
was
okay.
introduced to his stuff in 2020 when so I'm in the city. I was in DC. There was a holistic shop that had all of his products in there when I started taking CMOS and stuff, and I was introduced to him. Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay, I'm gonna have to talk to you about that later. But yeah, so I was reading his book. I started it last year, and um so he has this idea of stopping the European mindset of like these parts. Like we heal ourselves in parts, but we don't heal ourselves in wholes. And that's more like an African way of healing. And I like what you were saying earlier because it kind of made me think of that. And I think that can be applied to these concepts here, like race. A white person created that. A white group of people, white people created that. That's breaking us down into these parts and recovery. We got to get back together. Not all the races, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like black people as a people, we've been broken down into these parts, and we are identifying with our nationalities or our ethnicities, and we're not coming together. So being in that age of recovery, like for me personally, that I've been just like, I feel I'm in that, like it's a pool around me, and I am in that, like I am trying to recover from what they have done to us in our minds on the basis of race and being black in the world. And so yeah, that's literally, I'm right there. I'm right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why redefining humanity is such a pivotal point, because those who are self-aware, well, even if you're not self-aware, we're all going through this right now. And so to help identify, like, because I said, like I said, one of my principles or one of my quotes is, when you know who you are, you know what's meant for you, you know your place and where you belong. Understanding the season and the timing that we're in, or the age that we're in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it gives us a better sense of, where am I? What's going on? You know what I'm saying? And that itself is the essence of accountability, which is self-awareness. The self-propelled talk. How are you? So my name is Don, right? It's nice to meet you. My name is Don. My brand is Dominion Over Nonsense, right? I hijacked the Black Pill philosophy talking points to pretty much debunk all anti-red pill talking point, or any rhetoric or principle, or not principle, but any philosophy that is harmful to our community, to us as people, right? So we're talking about the UNISPHERE, redefining humanity, elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit. There's three things that have humanity in the chokehold. Okay, that's race, relationships, and religion. We're in the when it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. Race, when it comes to race, we're in the season of recovery to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're recuperating to receive recompense. So universe is calling for us to decenter, decolonize, and deconstruct. So when it comes to accountability, this is how we achieve liberation. So that's what we're talking about. Anybody else would like to share their thoughts, please come up. And I appreciate everybody that is, supportive of this movement. We're going to dive into so many things to, a lot of damage control that we have to do. And, hey, Ty.
Can you go over oh God, how do I try? Like your health journey? Like what are certain things that you've done over the past few years as you're in this, new season of getting better and resting and recovering?
What did I do personally?
Yeah.
I sat with myself. I'm a loner. I sit with myself. I analyze. So I feel like introspection should be a culture. Self-evaluation should be constantly. It's not just something that you do. And I was kind of forced into it by life, because one thing that I learned about life is that everything that I'm speaking on essentially is through self-evaluation, self-realization, and through experience, right? I sat with myself. So back in like 2016, 17, I was in the mindset, well, women, what about, I wasn't as vitriol as the men are now, but I did have the thought, well, looking back at my relationships and how I was always the one that gave, I did the thought that women should be accountable did cross my mind. And I was evaluating, why that was, because it was a personal experience. But what I did was, instead of attacking women like a lot of these goofies do now, I simply sat down and had a conversation with them. I had the hard conversation. I wanted to understand women. So you have to be intentional with your energy. Everything is energy, intent, and perspective. And I sat and I talked to women, right? Because it should be, as a man personally, and this is for me, in my mindset, as a man, you should always want to be the best that you want to be. It was always in my heart to be the best man that I could possibly be, the best husband, the best boy, whatever stage of phase or aspect of life I was in. I always just wanted to be the best. So when you're the best for yourself, I could be the best for myself. I could be the best for any woman that is in my life. I can be the best. You know what I'm saying? And I always wanted that. I was married at one point in time. It failed. You know what I'm saying? However, it taught me everything that it taught me everything that I'm sharing with you now. I learned through experience. And what I did was, because of my introspective nature and always relying from a spiritual perspective, that's what kept me. That's what pushed me through. That's what kept me strong, because I always knew who I was. See, the true essence of grounding is more than just the true essence of grounding from a spiritual perspective is knowing who you are, right? Knowing who you are is the true essence of grounding, being grounded. And when you know who you are, you know what's meant for you, you know your place, and you know where you belong, because you base your intentions and your choices off of purpose and not just merely emotion. Because when you know who you are, you're not going to accept certain things. You're not going to go in places. You're not going to do particular things, you know? So that's how I came about with everything.
How do you personally, how do you decenter relationships? Like, give me a particular example if you have one.
Well, the basic philosophy is the realization that, and understanding how love works, right? It's the inner, not only just the understanding, because from a balance and duality perspective, we've only seen things from a subjective and objective standpoint. But love that society gave us was not love. It was this talk, it was called love, but it was infatuation. It was built off the wrong foundation. So once you understand that love is based off is a culture and it is who you are, because I always, whenever I was in a relationship, I always gave, right? I'm one of those, and this is, I know I'm speaking to a lot of people, the giver of love. You love giving love. And I encountered a lot of people and I didn't realize my capacity to love. And sometimes that can be more harmful to a person because they don't have the self-realization of their capacity to receive or give. And there was a lot of people who were attracted to my energy and the idea of me rather than the full understanding of who I was to be able to accept me for who I am, because they didn't accept themselves. They didn't start any of the work. So I was a trigger for a lot of people. They loved me, but they knew that they couldn't be with me in that aspect because of the fact that they had so much work to do. Because I know my purpose. When I show up in somebody's life, that means that your life it's time to do some work and it's time for you to go to the next level, point blank, period. I understand my purpose. I know what my energy does to people. You know what I'm saying?
Do you, not to put you off, but do you think that was more of loving the service that you provide outside of just loving you in general?
I think that based on the understanding of what my love brings, I think they're synonymous. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is the love that I provided, it came from a place of genuineness, because like I know who I am. I know that I am love. So therefore I love you out of who I want, not what I want from you. You know what I'm saying? It was because what you're talking about is what it's based on. It's intention. The intention was always,
Well,
you
no,
know,
I get. I definitely get what you were saying, and just to give you an example of why I said that, in my previous marriage, on my way out, I was going through counseling, and I'm constantly coming to the counselor about the same thing about my marriage, and she just pretty much sat me down and said, "Hey, I love your money and all that, but it's two things: either because you're telling me this is not a great marriage that you're deciding to stay in because you know the marriage is not good. You're either going to stay in the marriage and we're going to talk about something else, or you're going to have to make a decision to leave." And I made the decision to leave. And I mean, my ex burned all my stuff and was mad and pissed off. And we just so happened to have the same counselor because it was our family counselor at the time. I would say a few years after that, after we was able to talk a little bit, she did disclose that the counselor helped her understand that she was not in love with me. It was just a service that I provided. Because I, like you, I'm a I'm a hard lover myself. And I know who I am, and that's just who I am. Regardless of how you are, I'm gonna love the way that I know how to love and the type of person that I am. And I give that to anybody that I call myself with. And so I did the same thing with her. But with the counselor explaining to her the reason why she was so hurt and pissed at me, it didn't have anything to do about me leaving the marriage because she didn't want me in the first place. But I provided the service for her kids. I provided a service of love, a safe place for her when she stopped doing what she was doing outside of the marriage to come home and needed love, I was there to provide it. And so it may be different what you're speaking on. And that's why I was just asking, do you think this would have?
So, boom. It goes back to what I was saying earlier, because I was married too, right? It wasn't love in the first place, and this is why us as men have to stand up and speak out against patriarchy, right? Because it's not in favor of us. The system is not in favor of us, right? We was never taught love. It was infatuation. Society taught us to be in love with the infatuated with the idea of a thing without the proper foundation. You know what I'm saying? The idea of marriage, when marriage is the true essence of marriage is spiritual. We always focus on the image or the external view of a thing, but not understanding of the essence of it. This union, marriage is union. Marriage is spiritual. You know what I'm saying? It's spiritual. We was taught infatuation. It was not love, right? And we was taught to be infatuated with the results of the idea of a system, rather than understanding these initial foundational proper logistics of how to properly assess those results. We wasn't taught infatuation. Infatuation is based off of external validation, expectations, codependency, attachment, which is based off of making choices off of our emotions and not the spirit, which is based on purpose and balance and duality. And I blame the church. They are at fault. The system that fortifies the church, and then the approach when it comes to relationships, right?
So can you can you agree or disagree that I was just commenting on someone that made a post about women and men being wired different, and but what you're saying now, can't you believe that both men and women can be nurturers and logical at the same time?
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you why and how, right? Because of the fact that men and women have masculine and feminine energy, and the deception based on society due to infatuation teaches us that masculine and feminine energy, which are quality characteristics, they are not gender roles. Those two things are not synonymous or one and the same. And the fact that they conflate those things and put those things intentionally into gender roles, this is what caused the confusion.
My brother, you better. I agree with you.
Hence why men need to speak up and disown and put aside patriarchy, and why we're seeing more non-traditional forms of relationships now. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to base love off of purpose and not emotion. It's based off of the system. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has no foundation because it's not based off of the right things, because they taught us that love is emotion and love is spirit. Love is spiritual. It's not emotional. It
Well,
deals with your emotions.
so add to that. These are conversations that I'm finding myself in, and not trying to get not in arguments about it, because I want our community to see that what we consider tradition was something that was forced upon our great grandparents all the way down to our ancestors about what a relationship is. So speaking volume on what you're saying, because like you stated, church is one of those systems that have implanted that in us. And just because our grandparents did it and their grandparents did it, and it was passed down as a traditional thing, to see something different, is, it seems to me, is it hurts, because now I can't, because it's a particular person that I know that when I speak on stuff like that or speak on what you're talking about, that's their defense on my grandma or my mom. This is something that they did, and it is something that they work and prayer and all this stuff. And I'm not knocking anybody that that's church going, that believes in God throughout the church. But it's just so funny for me with the information that I'm coming across, the books that I'm reading, and digging deeper into our ancestry and what slaves went through, until we take the time. And granted, I know it's like kicking a dead horse, but it's something that happened. And until as a community we go and we face that and dissect and see where they came from, we won't solve a lot of it. We won't get any resolution on what's going on. We're gonna
Boom.
yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because that's what this UNISPHERE is to uncover all of that. Because what it is you don't have understanding of a thing until you have the understanding to overstand. That's when you know you understand something. When Michael Jackson said too high to get low, too high to get over, too low to get under, you stuck in the middle. That was a real thing, right? Because we don't have the understanding of how things work. Understanding is the understanding the mechanics. It's the how. How did we get here? What are those mechanisms that cause this thing? How do we understand those components to be able to understand why we're here in the first place, so that we can then change our position, right? Because that was the true essence of what Christ said when he's meant to repent. But religion didn't teach us that, right? We got it backwards. When you base things off of society and the system, it's the complete opposite of what the initial and purpose intent was, because it's based off of subjectivity and objectivity instead of balance and duality. Hence why the pills are black and white, right? And on top of that, this will exude and really uncover a lot of the gray areas that we missed, because my philosophy is that there is 6 sides to the cube, not 4 angles to a square. And I found that realization based on perception and perspective by playing within a Rubik's Cube. And I just attribute it to life when it comes to when it comes to our perspective. Now, I want us to understand that there's a difference between perception and perspective. Okay? Perception is the feminine energy. Perception is what you receive based on the knowledge and understanding that you gain. Perspective is what you give based on the knowledge or level of knowledge that you have, right? So everything.
Can you
Can you
repeat
repeat
that?
that?
I want to
I
write
want to
that
write that
down.
down.
Very well. I'll say it a little bit slower. Perception is the feminine energy. It's what you receive based upon the level of knowledge that you have. Okay? And perspective is the masculine energy. It's what you give based on the knowledge that you have. Right? So when you look at it, a Rubik's Cube, life is, when it comes to perspective, is not just 4 angles of the square. You know what I'm saying? A full, complete Rubik's Cube that's complete. Some people stand on the blue side. Some people are looking from the yellow side. You get the concept. I'm a conceptual thinker, so I like to use things as analogies to, you know, parabolically, as you will, metaphorically.
Definitely understand.
Yeah, cool. So life is when I counted the cube. I was like, there's 6 sides. It's not just a square. There's 6 sides to the cube. So there's so many different aspects that we're missing because subjectivity tells us that there's only 4 angles to the square. But balance and duality says no. There's more to the truth than what's being shown to you. You just see your side, and you give your side based on your perception and perspective. But there's 6 other different sides that has other colors and many facets. So imagine when the Rubik's Cube is switched up, and the whites is with the yellows, and the yellows is with the blues, and the blues is with the red, and it's just all over the place, right? That's life. So what side do you stand on? Or do you have the capacity and the understanding, or the overstanding, or the understanding to be able to see all sides? Or are you just looking from one side? Because you can, even when the colors are all mixed up, if you're still looking from one side of the cube, you're still missing the other 5 sides. And this is the understanding and the understanding of our position in society as Black men. This is the essence of the reason why we're saying that we have to more Black men to speak up about patriarchy. The system is literally destroying us, right? We cannot sustain or uphold under this system. We were lied to. We were duped. The nuclear family is not for us. We are returning back to the village. None of it benefits us. Now, this is not a shot at anybody who it has worked for, and that the children that people who are in healthy marriages, people who are, have children. But even then, look at everything else that it's caused. Think about how many people that are legally married that are not married, based upon the principles that you learned today or that we talked about today. Think about how many people that are married that are not
but not married. What you mean by that?
You can be married on paper, but you're not in union. You're not one. Think about based off of infatuation. Think about everything I said, and everything is energy, intent, and perspective. Based off the intention, because I like you. People get married for the wrong reasons.
Right.
Because I like him, because he's funny. Like your ex-wife. Because he's a provider, he's comfortable. He does this. You know what I'm saying? Not because the spiritual essence that we are in alignment, our love capacities meet, where we're one with each other. It wasn't based off the choice to bind and to legally bind yourself was not based off of purpose. It was based off of the idea of infatuation, because you can do the right thing for the right reason and still be wrong for you.
Yep. I think I guess what finds it funny to me how you mostly find this on the woman's side, as if they get a little more offended when someone says that paper is not important. In a sense, it's position matter. And because I just made a post recently about how we were never really taught the true essence of what having sex before marriage was. Because going back, and that's the reason why I asked, hey, why you say that about the marriage thing? Because I also believe that there are so many people out here that have signed the paper, have gotten married, they haven't even consummated the marriage yet.
Come on now. And what is the consummation?
The consummation is that bonding of that covenant between the two partners. And so my thing is you can sign that paper in front of the judge and hang it up all day long, but if y'all in separate rooms, that's not a marriage.
So that means there's two things that I want to point out. So does that mean, based off that, can we attribute that how dangerous sex before marriage is based off the spiritual, that there's people who consummate that have spiritually binded themselves, right? This is why promiscuity is potentially dangerous spiritually. Everything is balanced. I understand we want to be free, sexual liberation. Okay, that's fine. We have free will. However, there's some truth to purity culture, and I'm holding the temple. There's balance in everything. I'm not saying one is right, one is wrong. Nobody should do this or that. That was the church. That was their issue. Because how are you going to teach to purity culture and not give the actual essence or the foundation of what it means for union and consummation? You just start to go get the paper. Again, it's the stabilization of the system. So, and then the other point that I want to make is that people, that there are some who are married, not all, you know what I'm saying, that base marriage off of infatuation, off the idea of the concept of being married, which is beautiful, but miss the foundation, right? And wonder why 50 years, 40 years, and shout out to everybody who's married 40 years plus. I love y'all. That is beautiful. You made it through, but look what they had to go through. Look about some of the divorces that we're hearing. Married 20 some years to getting a divorce. I'm only speaking to those instances, right? Do you feel that those choices of being married was based off of initial purpose? Or was it based off of the idea?
It was an idea. Because again, I just literally I'm an MS patient, and I just had a at home treatment, and my nurse was talking about her husband and whatnot, and they've been married 30 plus years. They're not friends. They don't go out. He's very conservative when it comes to quote unquote what people consider protection, or if she's needing like true protection, if someone is saying something out of pocket about her and stuff. He's very conservative, if I'm saying the right word. He doesn't speak up. He just sit there. And my question to myself is, why are you still there? Because I had to make the same decision. Whereas I was stuck into a society where in my previous marriage, 8 years of seeing my wife go out, being with someone else, knowing that's what she's doing and knowing that she's coming back only because that relationship ain't working right. And you know that I'm going to provide a sense of security and love, but I'm 100% disabled. And Social Security not too good. My thought process is, what other woman is going to want me with this setup the way that I am set up on paper? Not because who I am, not because what I can do, but paper says that this is not a great catch for any woman. Can barely walk, don't really have great funds. So, but it took me to get away from that marriage and spiritually take a walk with God and understand who I was, who I am, and where I was going. Like you keep stating, by purpose. Then I found my wife. Best thing ever. Best 6 years of marriage I've ever had in my entire life, almost to like I've never been married to anybody before, because everything that you're speaking on, that's what we're doing. We understand that both of us have feminine and masculine energy, and that we use it accordingly to ourselves, because there's some things that she's good at that's better than me. There's some things that I'm good at that's better than her, and we try and pick up the pieces of where we both are at fault at. Or if I'm down and she's down, up, she's covering. And you can correct me with your opinion if I'm wrong. Something I definitely try to state as when it comes to head, because we both leave our parents to become one with each other, meaning that we're both head of house, to where, like I just stated, if I'm down and I'm unable to do something, that's when she steps in, you know? And I think a lot of that mix up when it comes to church, talking about the marriage and the place where the man is supposed to be and a woman's supposed to know her place behind her man, has our community so jacked up.
But it's funny because, like I said, when you base spirit, which is based off the system of balance and duality, and you base your perception. This is why it's said to lean not to your own understanding. What leaning not to your understanding means is that when you read it from a subjective and an objective standpoint, and wonder why everything is so jacked up. This is why understanding is very key. When the scripture said that my ways are not your ways, and my words, my thoughts are not your thoughts, as heaven is above earth, so is my ways above yours. It's talking about the consciousness, because remember, when you eat the fruit, the consciousness fell. And that's why we needed redemption, hence the elevation. Christ is a representation of the rising, the elevation of the consciousness, which was specifically said by Paul, that submit ye yourselves to one another. That sounds like equality to me, not subjugation. You know what I'm saying? So that means, from a perspective, as I'm self-aligned with myself, that means if I'm self-aligned, I've already submitted to self, because love, God, and self are all the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And to use, oh,
Go ahead.
okay, so to use that as a tool of oppression, like those folks did that manipulated The word. You know what I'm saying? Like it's definitely giving agent of YT inferiority, because there's nothing supreme about it. It's that's what it's giving. You were agent of chaos. You were agent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're completely operating in the same essence when that's not what the initial purpose was. That's why the brand is called Dominion Over Nonsense, because we have dominion over the nonsense in our lives. What does it mean to have dominion? It means operating from the initial mandate for mankind, which was to be fruitful. And I want us to think not from a conceptual and principle standpoint, right? Because we get too caught up in the actuality or the actual physicality of things when this is spiritual, right? So from a conceptual principle standpoint, because balance and duality is based off of principle and value and cause and effect. Be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth, and then having dominion is a result of being fruitful. Being fruitful. It starts with being fruitful. If you're not fruitful, then how can you multiply? And if you not multiply, how can you subdue the earth? And we're not talking about subjugation. You know what I'm saying? And the first essence of this, or fruit, is love. The first fruit of the spirit is love, which is the foundation of all things.
I wanted to say, I'm glad that Pillow Talk. First of all, congratulations on 6 years of marriage, yay! Um, and I also wanted to say I'm really glad you brought up the talking point about what being disabled, what it's like, and how people can feel that like they have nothing to offer because society deems disabled people as like other and like, oh no, I don't want that. And I was saying in the comments that on the flip side of that is like that's why I'm not really into these dating apps, because you don't get to see someone's spirit from a picture, and you're looking over people that might be great for you. You might be picking people that are horrible for you because they're quote unquote attractive, but it's like, like you said, you met your wife and she saw your spirit, she saw you. I can't do that through like a dating app. I personally can't. Other people have literally found their spouses on that. That's not for me, and I think it's a very Eurocentric way of viewing dating, if that makes sense.
Well, on the app, okay. And I've met people on the app. And the thing about the app is just an introduction. People shouldn't go into the app thinking that what they read is what they're going to get. There should always be that meeting at some point. You shouldn't go 1, 2, 3 years with just being on that app trying to get to know someone. And not because of catfishing, but just in general. I can say that if it wasn't for my wife being open, regardless of me telling her, hey, God has given me the insight that you are my wife, and that as soon as I get finished with my journey, and if I do my spiritual journey correctly, then it'll happen in that sense that it's supposed to happen. If not, it's going to be my fault. I can't be mad with you and whatnot. And she didn't see what I saw, and I had to respect that. But it was meant for me to show her what my intent was, because she's been in relationships where people have promised and promised and promised and promised. So my thing is, going back to the app situation, even with her, even though I didn't meet her on that app, I still had to have those conversations that people just don't want to have. And that's about trauma in my previous life, my triggers that I know of at the moment, my finances, my religion, do I want or don't want kids, my standing on society in general. She comes from a churchy family, where like you go to church, the type of church that we feel has kind of ruined our society in a sense. She's from that form of family, and like right now, daddy don't like me because dad thinks biting the hand that feeds me, meaning YT person. whereas the stuff that I post and I talk about. But I explain all this at the very beginning, and it is something that people don't do on those supposedly dating points. Do you want to have kids? Do you not want to have kids? You know, what is your view on life in general? So we don't have those conversations, and we don't try to comprehend the conversations that we're having with the person, and hence the reason why I was in bad relationships in the first place. I had to take that spiritual journey, and I had to learn from my past. That's what our past and traumas are for, to be give us insight, to give us experience, to give us maturity. And we can't just sit and put it in the back of our heads and forget about it. And so that's another reason why I am going back and reading up knowledge on slavery and stuff, because I truly believe that some of that trauma has been passed down throughout our family. And we're not going to come from up under their thumb until we gather that village, like our ancestors did. On the moments of trying to become free, we're just taking ourselves right back to where they were, but just in a different, like the present is wrapped differently, if you get what I'm saying. Because we're not free. We're not free whatsoever. We never got to that point of being free. And it still sits on what you're speaking on with that app. They have misconstrued our view on communication with each other. So I wouldn't say count out the app, but if you decide to go on, don't see yourself 1 or 2 years later, you getting to know this person on the app and you're starting to get feelings, and you have yet to meet this person, because in person, that person is totally different. And I don't think people grasp that.
Yeah, that's exactly what I meant. It was like that form of communication. It kind of like it blocks you from seeing the truth initially, is what I meant. In particular, I'm thinking of like Tinder. You know, it's literally just a picture and swipe or whatever it was. I don't know if it's changed, but that's exactly what I meant. Like it's that form of communication. Like people are just like um they just looking at your picture and they're seeing like, oh, whether you're, I don't know. That is that like I can't make I just personally can't make a spiritual connection based off a picture. I need to start with a conversation. I like I honestly I don't know. I don't care what you look like. I want to know what you got to say.
Absolutely. As a sapio, I need to, I gotta listen to you. What becoming, I need to understand what your mindset is. As a person that values the essence of the soul, understand how love works. And you look at everything from the inside out. I don't care how gorgeous you are. I don't care if you look like Beyonce. If we are not in alignment, you are not meant for me. And I need people to understand too that having good energy and alignment are not synonymous. You know what I'm saying? But again, that goes back to knowing who you are, what's meant for you, knowing your place and where you belong. Hey, sweetie, what's going on? White Rabbit, how are you?
Hi, Dom. How are you?
I'm exceptionally well, Queen. What's going on?
Good. Hello, everybody on the panel.
So,
Hello.
just to catch you up, well, Tweety's been here. Tweety, did you want to add something?
Give me a sec. I'm eating.
Oh. So, White Rabbit, welcome to the Black Pill Unisphere. I officially hijacked the Black Pill movement to do damage control against anti-red pill rhetoric and any harmful rhetoric that's harming against us, against our community, and against us as humans. Yeah. Redefining Humanity 101. Elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, uplifting the spirit. Going over the foundational principles of what the Unisphere is, essentially. I call it the R9 series, essentially. However, but let me move that goal out the way. There's 3 things that has humanity in a chokehold. And that's race and relationships, race and religion. So when it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're recovering so that we can receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in a season of recuperation to receive recompense. So as we're in the age of accountability, accountability is the self-awareness that'll give us the liberation. So in order to do that, the how do we do that in order to receive liberation? As we've already, been doing, decentering when it comes to relationships, decolonizing when it comes to race, and deconstructing when it comes to religion. So these are the aspects and the principles that we're talking about. And the reason why the pill is black and white is because we need to understand that love and life is based off of, and the spirit is based off of balance and duality. And society taught us to look at things from a subjective and objective standpoint, which goes into my philosophy that there's 6 sides to a cube, not 4 angles to the square. We've missed so many components of our life and so many blind spots, so many gray areas, and we wonder why we've gotten the results. We wonder why we're in the spaces that we're in now, why we're so tired, why we're such in a lethargic state, because we're in the season of we're transforming, we're becoming new. We're releasing old mindsets, old habits, old ways, old approaches, old concepts, old principles, and things that no longer serve our higher self. So, welcome to
Can
the
you,
UNISPHERE.
can you say that all these principles has pretty much hijacked one of the most important things in our life, which is time? Because time for us is less and less and less and less as the years go by. There for a minute used to be where one parent can work in the household while the other parent stayed home and took care of the house, regardless if it was a male or female. Not going to go into that. But now how the economy is, if you want one person to stay in the house, that other person that's working is pretty much having to work a 12-hour shift daily, no break, tired, or anything. So my thought process is that our time is being attacked on purpose. If we don't have time to sit, like how you stated, to understand self, to have that meditation, to heal self through meditation and just loving oneself, we're we're not going to be able to do that if we're constantly trying to make somebody else rich.
Boom. Peep this. The reason why time is sped up, because of the fact that, like you said, inflation, they realize that people are becoming celibate, that our consciousness is elevating, and they no longer have bodies to keep the system running. So they sped things up, right, by doing inflation because they know that the system is falling and they need people in order to keep the system going. And people are opting out of the system by default because they see that it no longer suits them. That's why things seem sped up, because they need people. They know that the system is falling and they need people to keep the wheel going. So they hijacked everything to get more people. It's a tactic. If I increase inflation, if I do these things, I need more. It's gonna force people to hop back on the hamster wheel.
Right. So yeah, that's me. That's the conversation me and my wife is having at the moment. How time has been hijacked, and they're quick to say, you need to take 30 minutes out to exercise, plan. Take your kids out on a trip and stuff. But in reality, at this moment, there's not too many people that can really do that, because their time is, I have to go to work. I can't spend that time. I don't have time for my kids. I think personally COVID was the eye opener that they didn't want us to get grasp of. Granted, a lot of people died. There's a lot of stuff going on into that. Not going to get into that. But it opened eyes to, especially a lot of us, that I don't have to work for that person. I can have my own and I can do great. But once they start realizing that, definitely inflation started coming in, because we have our own bakery and jewelry company. And I had to low key cut back on the bakery due to the supplies I was normally getting. Just for an example, 500 clear shell containers for my cakes were like 50 something odd dollars overnight. Probably didn't go over 70. Within a year of being able to get it at that price, it went up to 170 some dollars. So now you're making me having to charge high just for a cake, which I know if you want it, you're gonna buy it, because this was still there. Regardless of inflation, people still buying what they want to buy. It just don't sit right with me. So, what do you think, as a community and as a gathering of village, are some steps outside of the three things that you're saying that is causing us? What can we do to deconstruct those three things to try and get our village together so we
Okay,
can?
boom. So the release of the concept of, we understand that capitalism and patriarchy, patriarchy needs capitalism in order to survive, right? We as a people of community, we don't really essentially need meat currency. It's called value exchange, right? Where I do a service for you, in exchange you do a service for me. And I'm not saying not to live. I'm not saying not to take care of your bills, but value exchange. Because the idea of forcing something when we know that people don't have the monetary gain, you know what I'm saying? Because in the end goal, the monetary gain is going to be there. But if I offer a service and I got a service, we can then exchange services to help push each other forward until we get to the monetary part, right? And we do that collectively as a unit, not individually. And this is the reason why we are at the bottom in society. This is why the Asian community can come into the hood, you know what I'm saying, and build their restaurants, because they understand value exchange, they understand community. This is why Mexicans, the Latino community, can come into the hoods and build up their own cities, because they understand working together, right? You know, and it all goes to that. Thank you, Asia. It all goes to that black dollar. How is it that we are the lowest in society? Even the indigenous community have the reservations. Oh, but we have the hoods. Now to our progress, I will acknowledge that, especially there are some states, especially Maryland, where there are black progressive communities. We're top 10 in the U.S. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people from all over are coming to Bowie, Maryland, and PG County and Montgomery. Not saying that we're not progressing. However, what I am saying is, as a community, as a whole, and this is not even globally, right? This is just within the United. Black people have a $1.7 trillion spending power. What are we doing? That's not, and that's not to account to all the millions and the billions that we had gained through the war on drugs era, but nothing to show for it. No blocks. We allowed, like, how did we allow the gentrification to happen? I was working with the organization back in 2021. You know what I'm saying? For what is a $1.4 million lawsuit on DC because of displaced families in the home due to gentrification. I sat in on those meetings and watched them lie and watched them people get displaced, and the council ain't do nothing. Right? I know the lawyer personally that put the lawsuit on DC. Right? There's so much education that has to happen. You know what I'm saying? So this is what I need us to understand about the 48 laws of power, right? Because remember, everything is principle based. When you understand the system and know the tactics, Christ said to be not ignorant of the enemy's vices, right? When you understand the moves of the system and how they play, you have to be it becomes self-preservation, discernment, and protection, right? So that we can know how to maneuver and operate, so that we won't feel that we are so that we don't feel like that we are obligated to the system, essentially, right? So when it comes to monetary thing, because the principle said that you can't serve two things, God or mammon. So from a balance and duality perspective, we can't operate off purpose and still try to operate in the system at the same time. Either we're going to operate on purpose or get on the hamster wheel, right? Now, I understand that we're trying to find that balance to how to get out, but the start is value exchange. You have a service, I have a service. We don't need money, essentially. We only need money to survive in the system.
Money ain't a real thing at the end of the day.
No, that's a whole nother conversation, brother. we, we can have that discussion. We can we're gonna have that discussion, right? Because I've been in finance for 10 years too. So like there's so much knowledge and wealth. This, but I'm tackling the foundation, because the principle said to build your foundation upon the sand, which is build your foundation upon the rock and not the sand. The sand is the system. Is the base of the infatuation, the ideological concepts of living from the subjective and objective standpoint, and not understanding balance and duality. Love is the rock, right? Value exchange. Whatever service you have, I'ma do it. I got you. If you need me to promote, I will use my platform to promote your t-shirts or whatever. You got it. You got a service. I'm trying to do the same thing. When we cross promote, right? If I want a clothing line and you sell cakes, I'll do videos to promote your cakes. Well, if you got the press machine, hey, help me out with these t-shirts and get it done. I'll go ahead and become a UGC creator and promote your cakes on my platform, right? Value exchange.
What it was from the very beginning, anyway.
Exactly. The trade routes, the silk for the gold, the frankincense and the myrrh for the spices from China. The bartering system, essentially.
I really appreciate you, man. I followed you. I'm about to step away myself, but definitely next time you're on, you send a request over my way too, and I'll see if I can jump on, because we're going to have to chop it up some more, bro.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you. I'll follow you back.
I don't even know what to say, Dom.
Well, I mean, anybody would like to add add their input, their perspective, their logic to it. I just appreciate everybody that has a better understanding of what this movement is, what's it about, and my intention is that it brings a breath of fresh air and a little bit of hope to humanity, that we're not, that because what we're seeing with the system when it comes to patriarchy is that we on the Titanic. This is what I equate it to,
Mm-hmm.
right? We are literally on the Titanic. And my goal is to provide as many boats conceptually
Mm-hmm.
as possible to be able to, you know, uh, as far as the Black Pill UNISPHERE goes live Tuesday through Thursday, every day at 2 p.m. Unpopular opinions, we're scheduling in Mondays and Fridays. The first unpopular opinion was great.
What
Those
was
are
that
done by
about?
Asia. Make sure y'all go follow Asia, my mod. She does unpopular opinions. We were talking about raising the age of consent. How is it that the age of consent in most states is 16 and 17, but the drinking age is 21. Make that make sense.
Hmm.
And you had the nerve to overturn Roe v. Wade. So I see what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Absolutely asinine. But I feel like more men, which is complete and in complete alignment with my UNISPHERE topic, that men should speak up more, to do more, to do more to protect women and children in this society. Right? Talk
Hmm.
about underage marriage. Crazy. 38 states. There's no laws against it. Why is the
Yeah.
age of consent 16, 17, 18 in some states, and the drinking age is 20? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? But yeah, that was Asia came up with that. But yeah, because we see that the system has failed. Like, I equate the system and patriarchy to the Titanic. That shit is sinking. Women caught wind of it way before we hit the iceberg, and they were trying to get our attention. And men are just like, oh, la di da. Like, men are literally the violinist as the water. Have y'all seen the Titanic? Men are literally the man that was playing the violin as the water is crashing into the boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are
Because
we
of
doing?
ego. Why do you say that's the case though? Is it because of the ego?
Um, so the lack of self-realization, the
Hmm.
cognitive dissonance due to the lack of self-love, which then is the result of lack of self-awareness because
Hmm.
of the imbalance of the masculine energy and the resistance to the feminine energy within self, which by default, because balance and duality, hence there's the pills are black and white. A man that is not balanced within himself, because a man has to understand that the acceptance of his own feminine energy, which is his emotions, right? When you release the gender roles and you understand the masculine energy, and
Has nothing
feminine,
to do with gender.
exactly, right?
Yeah,
So the
I
lack,
get that a lot within my own community. They don't like to hear it. When I say community, like my own culture, the Jamaican culture, they don't like to hear it.
exactly, because overall, universally, there's an imbalance of the masculine energy. Hence, why
Hmm.
women, black, but specifically black women, but women
Hmm.
globally, are there's this rise up because the universe is calling forth balance.
Hmm.
So men have to understand that within self, when it comes to healing, that feminine energy is the fortification of masculine energy due by initial purpose. So when you submit and surrender to yourself and honor your emotions and self-align, you can then see the mirror reflection and accept and receive the mirror reflection of you, i.e. the woman.
Well, to submit, you have to feel safe.
What are we seeing? These men are crashing out,
They don't feel safe.
which is really sad. Why
Yeah,
don't you feel, you know what I'm saying?
I try to see it from a perspective of they're not just being, bullheaded. They are being bullheaded, but the bullheaded comes from somewhere. I try to give I try to give grace because, especially in our particular diaspora,
Yeah.
and understand why they don't feel safe. Because with submission, in order for someone to really submit, submission comes with safe, with the understanding that you're safe. You're not going to submit to anything when you don't feel safe. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
that's why we go into
willingly, let me use that term, willingly. You're not going to willingly submit.
when it comes to decolonization, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't feel safe because we are not releasing the fact that patriarchy has failed us. Because Maslow hierarchy of needs.
Yeah, I got into a conversation about that the other day and it turned into like a whole shit show because I don't think people really understand it. They don't understand even what self-actualization is in terms of understanding that how do you find your purpose? You can't find your purpose if those lower tiers are not taken care of. If you're, for example, in a perpetual state of survival, if you're in a perpetual state of survival, You're just trying to get certain needs met. And if you're there, how do you get to the level of self-actualization? How do you recognize your purpose?
Wow. Self-actualization. That's a word for the UNISPHERE. Thank you for saying that. We need to bring that to the forefront.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I said I give grace, because when you look at a lot of these situations, a lot of, places that these, that men, especially in our diaspora, are in, they don't feel safe. They don't feel as if they are capable or able to provide, you know.
Exactly.
And when I say provide, just even just the basic necessities, for themselves, much less another human being. And that's a scary place to be.
Very scary. Because the pride comes in, or the ego comes in, when, like, feeling inadequate as a man, because men, as a man, and I'm speaking as a man, men base their love off of their ability to provide. So if we don't have that, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We lose the ability to be, feel the inadequacy. There's a feeling of inadequacy within ourselves. But this is the reason why I bring up, why there's six angles, six sides to the cube, and not four angles to the square. Because there's more than one way to be a provider. It's not just monetary. You're a
Mm-hmm.
provider
Mm-hmm.
when you're able to fill in the gap and be a pillar and step in the spot where it was needed. It's not just monetary. It can be emotionally. It can be offering acts of service.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it can be
Emotionally,
anything.
mentally, anything.
Exactly. Intellectually,
Yeah.
emotional support,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And men only think it's monetary. It's one way.
Monetary or physically.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Again, four angles to the
And
square.
I told him, I had that conversation too, where I was explaining to a couple guys about the importance of, the understanding submission, and understanding that the key to submission, if you want or would like someone to be submitted to you, is to make that person feel safe. That's even in war. You have to make your enemies feel like they have nothing to worry about. You have to get their guards down, right? So whether it's intentional to strike or it's intentional to love, right? That sense of safety and that sense of protection needs to be there. And the guy was saying no, how in his neighborhood, his mode of providing that protection for his woman is knowing that no man in his neighborhood can come and mess with his woman. You get what I'm saying? As if she's property. And I had to explain, like, she's not property, because did you think you're thinking from the external sense and trying to get your validation from the men in the neighborhood? Did you think twice if your woman feels safe at home? Did you think twice if your woman feels protected at home? There's a lot of women who men give that so-called protection, but he's a brute himself, and she doesn't feel safe with him. That's why you have women running around talking about they gonna pick the bear, and that's like they miss the whole point. You're
Exactly.
missing the point. You're missing the point. So protection is key. And again, I say this even when you spoke about the 48 laws of power earlier. You that protection to gain submission, that just doesn't go just for your situation with between you and your woman, where you want your woman to feel soft or whatever. It goes for war too. Like, all these things has a duality to it. You know, why do you think women bring down whole civilizations? Why do you think there has been historical stories about women bringing civilizations down? The strongest man, like Samson, was brought to his knees because what? He felt safe. He felt safe in Delilah's arms. It's like literally a story on repeat. Literally. And how do you do that? You tap into your feminine. Again, your feminine energy, not your gender. It doesn't mean as a man that makes you any less than a man. But you tap into that understanding of that feminine power in order to make your counterpart feel as if they can just relax in order for you to move strategically.
Because he has to be relaxed within himself. How can he provide security when he himself is insecure? How can he provide protection if he himself does not feel protected? Or just the imbalance. Exactly. Black Siren.
Hey, how are you?
I'm exceptionally well. How are you?
Very well. I'm breathing, so it's a good day, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What would you like to add? Yo,
So I've been listening for maybe like 2 minutes. I'm just getting here. It's been a busy day, so I'm just getting here. But I've been listening for 2 minutes, and I've heard a lot of good points brought up. But I did want to add a couple of things if I could, just real quickly. I don't want to monologue and like take over, but sometimes when I hear people speak on protection, I think this whole bear versus man thing. I think what men are missing is that protection isn't just physical, right? It's not just a physical protection. Women need to feel mentally safe. Women need to feel emotionally safe. Women also need to feel spiritually safe. And even if you are still indoctrinated within any kind of Abrahamic religion, you still need to feel spiritually safe. Your spirit needs to be at rest with who you have chosen to lay your head with. When we speak on, I heard somebody just mention it a minute ago, how men in general, right, this is not a specific thing, but men in general have a tendency to be more worried about impressing other men than they are upgrading themselves in order to be prepared for the levels that come with being in a relationship. A lot of men, especially in this generation, are very much aware of the newest sneakers that come out, the newest brands, who's dropping what, but nobody is worrying about what's my credit score so I can make sure that I get a loan for a mortgage and we can build this house together. Nobody is worried about how much would a monthly car note be so we both stunting in the car. Nobody is worried about how can we prepare for a better future. What color fence do you want? These are provisions that come within a relationship, and this is the problem with men who don't date intentionally. If you're just dating to date, you're not gonna make each other feel safe. I have a tendency to speak on men's mental health a lot because I have a comprehensive knowledge of what society has done to our men and why so many men lack emotional control, which is why the man versus bear conversation is so detrimental to their ego, because men lack emotional control. They lack emotional intelligence because of the pressures that society has put on them. You know, you figure from a very, very young age, every little boy is taught, be a man, take it like a man, take it like a man. Don't cry, wipe your tears. You're not a woman. You don't cry. You're not a little girl. Are you a little girl? Are you a princess? And you shame men into eventually becoming a robot of just work, right? Your job is just to be there. That's it. So then it goes into the next dynamic of women who have learned to weaponize a man's emotions if they do carry any kind of emotional intelligence, that they create a safe space for that man to open up, and then when the man does open up, the woman waits for the next argument and throws it in his face, which then essentially shuts him down all over again. So there's so many things that our community has to work on, because let's be clear, white supremacy, patriarchy, and capitalism is a very well-oiled machine. It's a very well, and at this point we have taken up those tools so much that we're doing their job and they can sit back and watch. We have a tendency to destroy each other, and even when we come into a community where we are trying to uplift each other, there's a trust dynamic because we've learned not to trust anybody. don't trust your community. We come from a lineage of people that are communal. We're not individualistic people. We are naturally communal people. However, with supremacy, with patriarchy, with capitalism, with fear mongering, we have learned to no longer trust each other. So there is no village to rely on, which is why so many women feel alone, and so many men are more worried about impressing other men than they are building themselves as a person. I think when it comes to submission, there's a difference that I think a lot of our men need to unpack, the difference between submission and subjugation. If you are forcing a woman to be submissive, then that is not a submission, that is fear. That's not respect, that's fear. If you have to force a woman to submit to you, then you are a narcissistic child who needs to unpack your mommy traumas. A woman, a real woman, will naturally submit. And I don't, when I say submit, I don't mean slave for you. When I say submit, I mean y'all are gonna submit to each other. Y'all are going to make compromises together. Y'all are going to want to please each other. Y'all are going to want to build together. Y'all are going to want to breathe together. That is, for me, that is the essence of a community relationship. When you can be with somebody and know that your mental is safe if you're having an off day. His mental is safe when he's having an off day. Your emotions are safe if you just want to cry because the pressures are getting too much. He just wants to cry because the pressures are getting too much. Physically, y'all would jump in front of fire. Y'all would burn this whole world down for each other. Those submissions are natural. But I think there's a really big disconnect when it comes to the patriarch. Many of our men have picked up the tools of what massa has taught them, and now men want to subjugate us. And then when we fight back, then we are told that we're hyper masculine. And so I think that is where the disconnect is coming in. I think we need to learn to hold space for each other and have more conversations like this. But I'll mute for a second so I don't, go too far.
No, everything was 100% right on point. You know, hence the reason why I call it the UNISPHERE. All anti-red pill talking points, dismantling any rhetoric that's harmful to our community. And the reason why I specifically hijacked the black pill, and not the green pill or the yellow, I mean, that should be for obvious reasons, because speaking for the fact, okay, Tweety, thank you. You know, us as our community, we're the foundation of humanity. It started with us and it's going to end with us, point blank, period. You know what I'm saying? Point blank, period. So, because everybody wants to talk about, oh, well, black people, you need to hold yourselves accountable. Okay, hush. Let us get our house together, right? Let's decenter, let's decolonize, let's deconstruct. Accountability starts with self anyway. Our goal is liberation. Redefining Humanity 101. Elevating the consciousness, inspiring the soul, and uplifting the spirit. 3 things that have humanity in the chokehold: relationships, race, and religion. When it comes to relationships, we're in the season of rest to receive restoration. When it comes to race, we're in the season of recovery to receive restitution. And when it comes to religion, we're in the season of recuperation to receive recompense. For those who just came in and want to understand what the black pill is about, I'm not a black pillar. But this isn't about the incel. And in essence, so let me give y'all some insightful kind of some connotation to the pill ideology. For those of you who've seen The Matrix, understand, and these will be topics. But the incel, which is the original philosophy of the black pill, is essentially the red pill, right? And I want us to see like the blatant misconceptions when it comes to understanding how we operate in society. And the red pillars, right? They're essentially the blue pill. If you remember the Matrix, Neo essentially had to make a choice. Either he was going to take the journey to find himself to become the one, or he was going to essentially go back to Thomas Anderson, right? If you look at it, the red pill is essentially is masked and is covered in red, but it's really the blue pill. Because when you think about the ideology of upholding the patriarchy and misogyny, they're trying to get us to go back to how things were the 50s. They're trying to get us to go back when the principle says to leave those things, leave those things that are behind and press forward to the mark of the prize. We are not going back, right? Because we understand that time is not linear, it's cyclical. So from an ancestral spiritual perspective, we are essentially made a 360 where we are now evolving, where we're going and recentering ourselves into a state of where we're going to the village, to our initial purpose. We were offset. Now we were resetting back into our initial purpose, our initial operating operation as a humanity, which is the village. So the red pill is the blue pill, and the black pill is the red pill. Baby, are essentially the initial ideology of the black pill, not the philosophy that I'm giving. I hijacked it for us, but for those who knew what the original ideology of the black pill was, it's the incel, right? And the incels are actually the red pillars, and the red pillars are claiming to be the one with the answers, but they essentially took the blue pill. They want to go back to the office and be Thomas Anderson. They're not the one. They never was, because they don't have the capabilities to be the one. Hence, as you can see, like I said, hence why the pill is black and white for balance and duality. And the black pill essentially because us, hello, we are the foundation of humanity. It started with us and it's going to end with us. And we know we got to get our house together first. And when we advocate for us and do for us, the rest of society and the rest of humanity automatically wins by default. They benefit anyway. So we get in our house together. Liberation is the goal.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the problem that we face as a community is as much progress as we made, there are still some people that are scared, right? And when I say scared, they don't want to do what is necessary in order to remove the obstacles that continue to try to put themselves in our path. You know, I don't think of myself as radical. However, I have been told that I am radical. I have a tendency to believe that the only way to bring some of this to a stop is to meet the oppressors in the language in which they speak, which is violence and capitalism. Those are the only two things that you're going to be able to get a hold of them with. Other than that, they're going to look at you like you're crazy because they've oiled this machine so well that we do the job for them. And when it comes to taking the proper steps in order to remove these obstacles, everyone's like, "Yep, let's decolonize, let's deconstruct, let's liberate ourselves." Oh, but that's just going a little bit too far because I don't want to. I don't. Oh, but I don't want to get in. But I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to. Oh, I don't want to be seen like that. I don't want to be. But let's still do this. But let's just not take it too far. Well,
I.e.
no.
respectability politics,
Yeah.
i.e. comfortability,
Uh-huh.
i.e. i.e. tap dancers, do um melanated black conservatives.
Yep.
Make it make sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't deal with them at all. Until I can't help anybody on their journey while I'm still taking mine if you're not willing to come on the journey. If you're gonna run all the way to the end of the pier and then say, "Oh, but I'm just not gonna. I don't want to put my toes in the water. I'm gonna come with you to the pier and we're gonna chill here, but I don't wanna. I don't want to get wet. I can't deal with you."
Because they come too reliant um they're too reliant on the system. And that's where accountability takes place, because you're not following your soul mission or your true initial purpose, or making choices the based upon purpose, because if a purpose, operating off a purpose, requires sacrifice. It requires you giving up comfortability. It requires you possibly being homeless. It requires you to, whatever your spirit is telling you to do. You know what I'm saying? It's requiring you to go to the next. And the reason why that's so selfish is because you have other people that are on the other side of your obedience of you fulfilling your mission and your plan on this earth. And if you aren't making choices according to that, what, how are we getting forward to liberation? That's why my brand is called Dominion Over Nonsense, because we're making choices based. This is reminding us of the initial mandate of mankind: to be fruitful, multiply, subdue the earth. Having dominion is a result of being fruitful, to therefore multiply, so that we can subdue the earth. And we're not talking about subjugation. We're talking about, from a conceptual basis. Adam. So we created the Garden of Eden, which is equivalent to, Christ saying the kingdom of God is within you, which, i.e., you are God. You are the God of your purpose. The very you frame the outlines and the you outline the frames of your own life, i.e., your reality, by what you say, by what you speak, the principles you stand on, and your realization of self. The blueprint of who you are and what you're created to do is already on the inside of your soul. Are you listening to your soul and looking at the blueprint? You are the architect of your own life. Design it the way it was meant for you to, not according to what was told to you. And with that being said, I have to charge my phone. I'm gonna go and end the live. But I appreciate everybody that was up here. I appreciate everybody that's have to, that engaged, because, i.e., for all the people that go live, we no longer can tell people to tap the screen and share the live. We say, for those who engage, that is the buzzword. Okay. When we say engage, that means to, and
We can't tell them that no more.
nope, because they see it as demanding and they'll flag you for it.
What?
Because, wow, I know.
Okay.
Exactly.
Wow, I didn't know that.
But let's
I'll
put
pass
context
that
on
on.
that. That happens to us.
But it only happens to us, right? So yeah, when we say, so that's the new buzzword, y'all. When we say thank you for engaging, wink wink, you know what that means. And give it to your
All
people.
right.
So
Well,
that's the
Felon,
buzzword.
you have a
All right.
wonderful
So
evening. This was a fulfilling conversation. And make sure you share the live to me next time you're on.
I got you.
Alrighty.
Y'all have a good one. And I might be in some of y'all's places later. But have a good one. Thank you for the conversation. Peace.